Welcome back to Travolting, covering Ladder 49 with special guest Mark Tilley. Enjoy the episode.
Hey, Jeff.
Stuart, Mark, I'm coming into this episode with a bit of a disadvantage. I don't know about you two, but this is the first Ladder film I've seen. I don't know if the first 48 have any context I need going into this installment of the franchise. Because I'll be honest, I was a little lost at some parts. I was like,
right away, we're starting with bits.
I was like, did this franchise like? When John Travolta walks in, I'm like, was he in like his character in the previous ones? I know we didn't cover any of them, so like, was he played by someone else for the first 48 installment? I don't know. I'm just saying, you guys might have to hold if you've seen any of the previous ones.
Have you seen any of the Scorpion King movies? It's a lot like that. It's a lot like that. My big question was, this movie could be so easily called Truck 49 or Engine 49. Do you think they voted? Or was it more of like a phonetic thing where they're like, no, Ladder just really rolls off. Ladder 49.
Well, because ladder is like indicative of the whole entire like engine house.
The ladder is...
Whereas engine is just like the truck.
Yeah.
And there's different jobs from the truck. Like there's a search and rescue people
Stuart
who don't go
knows.
on the
My
hose.
case.
If you work on the engine, which is what Joaquin Phoenix does in the first act of the movie, you are the person holding the
fucked
pipe. So like, yeah.
I don't know shit about firefighters.
Welcome to Travolting, where we are going to cover the 2004 Joaquin Phoenix vehicle, Ladder 49.
Thank you, folks, for listening last week to our Christmas special. We hope you enjoyed it.
The vehicle's a truck.
Covering, I think you might like it, and I hope you enjoyed the other thing that happened in that episode.
It's a fire truck.
What other thing?
I don't know. I don't know what happened.
What's weird is I should know this other thing because we recorded it before this episode.
Yeah, we've definitely already recorded that episode.
Well, maybe he cut it out.
Maybe you cut out and forgot about it. Yes.
Jeff,
Yes.
would you like to fill in some context for us on Ladder 49?
Ladder 49, the context corner. I actually forgot to bring up my Ladder 49 notes for the guys. We're jumping right in off our previous.
Already disrespecting the fucking movie.
What the
Jesus.
firefighters do enough, Jeff?
Firefighters.
It's okay.
Okay.
Not enough of them have died for him to like treat it with respect. So
So this is a Jay Russell film.
The dead dog on the dead dog on tour. So I wrote that down.
What did you just say?
The dead dog on tour.
The dead dog?
He's like the king of the dead dog movie.
Is he?
Yeah,
Oh yeah, he did.
he did My Dog Skip.
My Dog Skip.
But then
Tuck
even like
Everlasting.
Tuck Everlasting.
The Water Horse Legend of the Deep.
But those all have like, and even not just Ladder 49, but they have like dead dog endings.
He's literally a guy who just like he's one of those journeymen who
He's like a journeyman, but his movies are so spaced out.
yeah, he's like a low rent journeyman. This is probably his most well known movie. Maybe.
My Dog Skip. That's the thing.
Maybe was Tuck
They're all kind of-
Everlasting a big
They're
deal?
all at the same level in different
Yeah.
like decades.
They're all
Or
they're all
different
movies
eras,
that
different kind
happened,
of-
and
Yeah.
everyone was like, "Yeah, that thing."
Yeah,
But he's not particularly well known for it.
I don't think they're.
Like no one's like, "Yeah, a Jay Russell picture."
I think it's time that tide changed. I think it's time we
Start respecting Jay Russell.
yeah put some respect on the name.
Put some respect on that name, Jay Russell.
listen, some directors just come out and most of their movies are lukewarm, but every once in a while they come out with one that maybe at the time and in the future was
Everything
perceived
just
as
lined up.
lukewarm. But for some people, it really translated with them. Like other than Star Wars, what other in American Graffiti? But like one probably could make the case that most of Star Wars films aren't particularly critically amazing. But the prequels.
Are you saying George Lucas hates firefighters?
No, what I'm
I
saying
think that's what
is that there are directors who maybe throughout their career have made
Mark,
lukewarm. Hold
Why
on.
is Stuart standing up and saluting right now as he
Get
says
off the table.
I'm not.
You don't salute with both
it? Oh my
your
God,
hands.
he's ripping his shirt off, and
Not
there's
the A and the
full
YMCA.
uniform underneath.
Jesus, Stuart.
So I'm just gonna shatter this bit for the audience.
You had a
I
crew
like-
neck on. How did you
I-
put that fucking jacket
I
under there?
actually like this movie a lot, and I like this movie because while I understand that it may not be particularly like a phenomenally like complicated or weird or
not basic either.
like it's not basic. it may not have like a surefire cohesive plot. It may be very like thin, but I will say this movie had one mission that was written on its surface, and that is we're going to make a movie that's a tribute to firefighters. And it accomplishes that mission. I fucking hate you, Jeff.
No, continue.
And it accomplishes that mission like tenfold. Like it is a
Put your hand down, Stuart.
And so, ladies and gentlemen, like I like this movie for being like a very heartfelt, soulful tribute to firefighters, and it's very sobby. It's very like it pushes the lever on like we're gonna make our audiences cry because they're gonna see like our men in uniform like dying to protect other people. And what Jeff and Mark are doing are making fun of me for falling for it hook, line, and sinker, while they're just gonna be like, oh, it's just an okay movie. And here I am thinking, no, this is a great movie. And I'm explaining my reasoning, and they're making fun of me for those reasons. So throughout this podcast, when you hear bits like Stuart stop saluting or stop crying, it's because they're making fun of me for the respect that I admire on this movie.
I think it's very sweet that
Fuck
this
you.
I think it's very sweet that this movie really worked for you on that level.
Do you know any firefighters, Jeff?
No.
Do you know any firefighters, Mark?
I do know a firefighter.
You know,
So,
a single fire. I know some fire safety officers.
Like, I come from a very military-heavy family background, and a lot of my family members were also firefighters. And yeah, like there are lots of moments where you see like that there are times when they don't have much to do, and like because there's not too many fires to put out. But sometimes, and the occasional fire can just be like an oven burning and all that stuff. But there are like it's such. We don't get these like action movies on firefighters, and like honestly, like I understand why, but we don't need that many in terms of like there's plenty of cop movie stories.
Need like 2 or 3.
There's
we only
exactly.
have 2. We need
Right.
maybe
We need
one more.
There's plenty of cop story movies that we could have, and we have way more than enough. And paramedic stories like, I mean, we got Chicago.
you got
Med.
Michael Bay's ambulance
We
coming
got
out
Michael
soon.
Bay's ambulance coming out soon, and like, that's okay. But firefighters, like, I
Is it
think
the best uniform, you think? If you were going to rank our men in uniform, is it the best uniform?
I don't rank men in uniform. I treat
Top
them
5
all,
men in uniform, men and women.
I rank them all with the same amount of respect for the
Number
service
5,
that they use
nurses.
for the country. So I respect this
No,
movie.
100%.
I like it for like, even though like, if you had to ask me like, well, what's it about? And the answer would just be, it's about a firefighter who is injured during a big fire, and he has flashbacks about his life. And from the context of me just saying that to you, you would probably think, oh, well, that sounds kind of like boring. We talk about this with Phenomenon a little bit, where in Phenomenon, there is no like central conflict to the movie. It's just about a guy figuring something out. And I really kind of trash the movie for that. And it may seem hypocritical why I'm really liking this movie now, but I think the goal of this movie is not to make this surreal, cohesive, complicated point like Phenomenon is, and how it doesn't really hit the mark for me. But this movie does hit its mark, and its mark is, hey, Mark, and its goal is to be a heartwarming, heartfelt firefighter tribute movie.
Like 5 minutes into this movie, I was like, this is such a Stuart movie. I was like, this is a movie about brotherly camaraderie. This is a movie about our men in uniform. I was like, Stuart's going to love this thing.
What
And,
did
like,
you honestly think about this movie, Jeff?
I like this movie. It's a good movie.
Then, like, what is this beef?
Have you seen Fire?
Mark, what did you think
Have
of this
you
movie?
seen Fireproof?
Okay, well,
It's about a firefighter who watches porn. They're people too. They're just like us.
Fuck this.
Stuart is
It
leaving.
was so funny because I read a.
It's a great movie.
I agree. It's a good movie. He's leaving the
I
room.
read an interview with Jay Russell because I did my research for this podcast where he talks about, he was like, backdraft. Like, I don't think that like firefighters are watching that movie and they're like, oh, we feel seen and respected. So I was like, I want him. And he was like, no offense to Ron Howard, because Ron Howard, I was like, Ron Howard, what lessons did you learn making Backdraft? And Mary's like, well, let me tell you.
All right. So to win Stuart back, Mark, Stuart's coming back.
We're going to talk about Backdraft. A movie that doesn't respect firefighters. It's true.
Jay Russell said it himself. He
Jay
says,
Russell said I wanted to make a movie for firefighters.
Because I felt like Backdraft didn't do it for him.
Them. That was a movie about... Is Backdraft about a love triangle with firefighters? They're like brothers?
I don't remember. All I know is that Universal Studios used to have Backdraft the Experience, and then they got rid of it because that movie was like not a mega hit.
The reason why I came back, the reason why I get out of bed every day, is because men like Jack Morrison.
I think Stuart's getting in on the bet.
Did you...
Decorated firefighter who saved countless lives went into the fire while everyone was running
And you're
out.
going into the
Everyone
fire.
was running
And
out.
I'm running into this dumpster fire that's about to be this episode while everybody else is running out. So let's talk about Ladder 49, guys.
Ladder 49.
So Mark,
Yeah.
you were recently just with us on the Basic episode. You also wanted this movie.
I did.
So tell us your story with Ladder 49 and a way to try and win Stuart back.
Well, I knew that lots of people were probably going to want Ladder 49. And so I said, no, it's for me. No, it's true.
Why do you think a lot of people were going to want Ladder 49?
No, just you. No, I'm just kidding.
Okay.
No, so I had seen Ladder 49 a lot as a kid. This is a movie I've seen like 15 times. I'm not kidding.
Mm-hmm.
I've seen it 15 times. Number 15 was this morning. And I loved it as a kid.
Yeah.
I loved it. I watched it a lot. It was on like a 4-part DVD you get.
Yeah.
Honestly, I forgot what the other 3 was because I think it was my favorite on there.
Mm-hmm.
And I think I just liked Joaquin Phoenix a lot.
Yeah.
I just liked him a lot
You were
as
a
a
big
kid.
fan of The Walk.
I was a big fan of Signs and Gladiator, and so he was good in it. And so I wanted to rewatch it and be like, why did I watch that movie so much as a kid?
Mm.
It clearly affected me. There was like something very earnest about it, and so I wanted to rewatch it and kind of like try and figure it out. And so that was one of the Travoltas that I had a real personal connection to. So yeah.
See, he has a personal connection.
I have a personal connection to this movie.
I think a lot of kids our age do because this movie came out. I don't know how old you are, Mark, but I was.
It's like the kind of action movie a kid can see.
Yeah,
Because even if it's
exactly.
upsetting, like there's no like necessary violence occurring.
Yeah,
And like 50% of it's like a bunch of guys picking on each other. And I thought that was funny.
Yeah, and like I watched this as a kid as well, and I remember liking it a lot too. But similar reasons for you, Mark. Like I didn't really understand why I watched it that much as a kid, and I didn't understand what the appeal was. So rewatching this, I never really found out the answer because I was watching it with like my current 26-year-old brain.
He was too busy blinking the tears away.
No,
But no, like as I was watching it in my current like state of mind, I still admonished it for what it was trying to do.
Mm-hmm.
And so I thought the performances were really good. I thought the emotional scenes were very well done. I thought the cinematography, the editing was very well done. And also like the attention to detail that the filmmakers obviously had for the accuracies of the firefighters' jobs. Like it's just a very respectable movie.
Mm-hmm.
I do like a movie where like people in like a certain field are like saying things and you don't know what they mean.
Yeah.
And so you're just like, but it feels like research was done. When you like kind of disconnect from something because you don't know why someone's saying something into a walkie-talkie.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I always like that.
I watched this movie and then I watched 2 other little clips after that just to kind of get more into the headspace of the film. I first watched a featurette of this film. It was a behind-the-scenes featurette showing the cast going to Fighter Academy training school.
I've seen it.
Which was, I mean, you hear those stories all the time where it's like actors train how to be like cops or they train how to be in the military or helicopter pilots, whatever it might be. So this kind of seems similar, but like that, the featurette's about 7 minutes long. You can find it on YouTube. I mean, it really goes into detail about how dedicated all like the actors were and also the the fire instructors and just their way of like, because they literally did at the end of their training course, they like had the cast put out a fire.
Yeah.
Like they set a building on fire, like a test building, like how they normally do for fire recruits. And they set the cast in to put it out. So like, it's like
The work was done.
the work was done. Like you officially like they tried in Armageddon training oil riggers to become astronauts. They trained actors to become firefighters and sent them into a firefighter movie. I mean, is that not a movie on its own?
No.
I would watch a movie about
A bunch of
training-
actors
yeah,
getting stuck in a building like on a training session and they have to like
put out the fire.
put out the fire. No,
So-
that like I love that location because it looks very much like we're just gonna build a building like the main central building that it starts in that they like light on fire. It looks like it's on like an empty lot. There's like no other buildings around it. It's just like a big building and they build it. And I'm sure there are some miniature shots of it too, which are really cool.
Maybe I don't know, but and then I also watched a. This is really gonna make a lot of jokes appear, but I watched a firefighter breaks down fire scenes from movies and TVs from GQ, and
I mean, that's kind of cool. I'd watch that.
and he for a segment he covers Ladder 49, and there's a lot of small little tidbits in the movie that they aren't calling attention to, like say like the filmmakers aren't saying, hey, look at what these guys are doing, it's accurate. They're just doing it, and if you catch it, then it's cool that you notice that they're following this very structured procedure. Like a quick little bit, they rappel like Walking Phoenix down the side of this building, and small little detail that they do is that they put the jacket over the railing so the rope can go over, just to be so in case like anything does happen, like if a victim does jump on the firefighter and the rope slips, it's not gonna like there's nothing on the railing of the roof to snag and rip the rope. It's going over like a smooth firefighter jacket. And it was like a small little attention to detail. They didn't call attention to it, but if you caught it, it's like, oh yeah, like that's like regulation.
I think audiences do catch stuff like that, and it's also just like it works as like character stuff where this person is smart and has thought through this process and like
yeah.
No, for
This
sure.
is nothing if not a very well researched movie.
Yeah, no, for sure.
Yeah.
For sure.
And, going a little bit into the context of this, like where it's at in Travolta's career, where it's at in Joaquin's career, it's at this very interesting point for the two of them.
Yeah, I agree.
Because like this is that weird period of time where everyone's like, Joaquin Phoenix is our next great like megastar.
But is it saying he's the next Travolta?
No.
Which is kind of
you're like, it's like a weird
thing.
handshake. You're like, is that the kind of star?
Well,
you
here's the
think he
thing.
is?
Here's the thing. Travolta's doing this. He does this quite a few times at this point in his career, where he's doing a lot of like, like you said, handshake movies,
Yeah.
where he's like passing it on to the next
Yeah.
generation. Except at the end of every one, they pull it back.
Yeah.
Like Swordfish, it's like kind of a handshake where like he's like anointing Hugh Jackman. Except at the end of the movie, he gets the one over on Hugh Jackman. He wins in the end. In this, it's like, yeah, I'm training the next generation. And the next generation dies, and he's like, well, I will continue to be a firefighter. And ends with them like saluting the camera.
I'll never stop. It's true though.
And so it's this weird thing where like Travolta keeps like getting close to these like handoff roles where he's like, I'm gonna gracefully like transition into my like character actor supporting phase, but he just wheels it back.
Yeah.
And that's where Travolta's gonna really get into some trouble in a few years. Is he's gonna keep wanting these leading man roles. They're only gonna be available in $5 Redbox movies. And that's part of what kind of really starts torpedoing him is he's incapable of just making the handoff fully.
Yeah.
And for Walking Phoenix, like I think you're right. He is like kind of poised up to be like the next big movie star.
And
he hasn't quite
he very much rejects.
Yeah, because he hasn't quite like I won't say he hasn't stuck the landing quite yet, because it's during this time he's like they're all, I mean, we would call them all like now hits and like classics. Like I think it was around this similar time he was doing movies like
No, at this point he is in the run of
but it's the year later when he does Walk the Line, and I feel like Walk the Line when he plays Johnny Cash is like I feel like Walk the Line is John Travolta's Saturday Night Fever.
Yes.
Would you disagree with that?
Well, here's the thing. Joaquin did he win for Gladiator? He was just nominated, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so he's nominated for Gladiator, best supporting actor. That's like kind of I mean, he's in movies prior to that, but that's the big one.
Yeah.
He does Gladiator. Then M. Night picks him up and he puts him in Signs in a prominent supporting role.
In The Village 2 years later.
He's in The Village. He's leading a Disney movie, Brother Bear. He's popping up at Hotel Rwanda, Ladder 49. Like, he's getting this movie star track like laid out for him. For him to become like the next Brad Pitt, hell, the next John Travolta. But, you know, it's after Walk the Line where he immediately says, I don't want this. Takes a step back, does a rap career, makes I'm Still Here. And then gets back in movies, but he's only doing like interesting character bits that he wants to do.
Yeah. It's really after I'm Still Here.
Yes.
And then The Master, and then...
Yeah, because after I'm Still Here, he's not following the track that was laid for him.
And then
he's only
he
doing stuff that
did
he's interested in.
The Joker.
What if the Joker got a raw deal? What if that happened?
It is weird to watch this movie and like... And then, you know, he's in Come On this year where he's playing a normal guy, and that's really refreshing. But it is weird to see him just play like
A normal
guy from Baltimore.
It's just like a dude.
Yeah.
Well, that's the thing is these are the roles that he's being laid out for.
But
where it's like,
he plays a normal guy well.
yeah,
I mean, he's doing a
very
good job.
in
He's
this
very
movie.
good in this movie.
Yeah.
But it's just after like this is that weird period where Joaquin's doing Hollywood movies
Yes.
and not stuff that interests him. He's he's just following the movie star track.
Yeah.
And so it's kind of an interesting artifact because like this isn't the type of movie you would just like expect to see Joaquin Phoenix in.
No, because like him, I mean, you have like there's sort of a trio of like it's him, Billy Burke, and Morris Chestnut. That's like an interesting trio of people. Then you add in John Travolta.
Oh, we gotta talk about the crew.
Oh my!
You telling me?
Well, I did write
when
down
he
in my
shows up at
notes,
the firehouse.
We're gonna rank the.
And
firemen.
we got Morris Chestnut.
We're gonna rank the firemen.
We got Balthazar Getty. We got Robert Patrick.
Robert Patrick.
Billy Burke. Like, come on.
We said Morris Chestnut,
We
right?
said Morris Chestnut.
How?
Like, talk about a fire crew, man. Talk about a team of dudes. And they all hang out at the fucking Irish pub every night. Come on. This is what cinema. This to me is cinema.
I agree. This is cinema.
It should be just like, I don't know, you could do like a whole movie of just like them showing up at the bar after every single fire and save so much money in the fires because the stuff is just them all hanging out being guys.
Like, oh, those were crazy fires, weren't they?
Oh my gosh. What's the best prank in the movie?
Ooh. I don't know. I think the reverse. The
second reversal of the of the priest?
Yeah, the priest. That's
no,
pretty
that
good.
second priest sucks. That joke sucks. But Jay Hernandez,
Jay
not in
Hernandez.
this movie.
Yeah, what happens to him after that scene?
Nothing
He
happens.
never reappears.
He's just there to be the new guy for a second. John Travolta, also not really in this movie.
And that's actually something that I wanted to talk about for a little bit.
Yeah.
I mentioned this a tiny bit in the basic episode because I knew we were going to have you back for Ladder 49. So I just wanted to mention it here while we came back and did Ladder 49. This was a really great, refreshing movie to watch in context of this podcast because of how little John Travolta is in this movie.
He has a prominent role and he's good in his parts, but he's not the lead. There are spots where he's not there.
But I'd say the movie isn't even centrally like you see them on the poster and you're like, it's probably about a firefighter and his commander and their relationship and his mentorship of him. And it's not.
It's
It's not about his mentorship of him at all. He's just kind of his boss.
Yeah.
He's just playing
He's
his
got
boss.
a couple good scenes. But even then, like, you know, Travolta never really, like,
They have two conversations in the movie, really.
the only scene, God help me, Jeff is going to crack the fuck up laughing when I say this, but the
he's
only
respectful.
scene where I really felt like John Travolta was, like, turning something good in was the last funeral speech scene. Yep, yeah, I know. Here, he's saluting. Jeff is saluting. But, like, even the scene when, like, Billy Burke, spoiler, dies, and they have this argument in the firehouse, and Travolta comes in, and he breaks up the fight, and he, like, yells at them. Like, Travolta used to be really good at angry rants.
Mm-hmm.
You remember in Phenomenon when he has an angry rant in the bar? He's like, look at it, look at it, look at it, and then breaks the mirror with his telekinetic powers. Great performance.
Yeah.
And here, like, I actually, like, Travolta's really good at angry rants.
Yeah.
And I was thinking, like, oh, here we go. Like, we're about to get...
My house. In my house.
I thought we were going to get, like, a really good John Travolta angry rant, something we had never seen before. But that was the issue, was he did exactly the same thing and almost not even to the certain degree I would have hoped. It was like, okay, yeah, the fire chief was mad, and that's about it. But it didn't leave that scene like, oh God, like, yeah, that's heavy, man, you know? So like this entire movie with John Travolta, like it was very much a sleeper for me.
Yeah.
I was mostly focused in Joaquin Phoenix's journey.
So do we want to jump right into it?
Is there any more context to it?
There's really not too much. It's just an interesting point in both their careers.
Yeah.
And it's indicative of Travolta's problems at this point is that he's not willing to really do the handoff yet.
I read Jay Russell. It was like one interview he did with it, and he was talking about how
You can scoot your
this
chair
is one
up
of
just
like
a little bit.
the first like post 9/11 movies, not about firefighters and how it's about like
really liked that.
yeah, and how it's about like because I think you had a different like cultural lens for firefighters.
Yeah.
Post 9/11.
There's a big change in the perception of them, as there's a change in perception of a lot of things.
Lots of servicemen of different types.
After 9/11, like respect for men in uniform becomes like I mean, it had already been like an American cultural thing. Yeah. But after 9/11, it's like
loaded.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's like if you don't clap for the troops when they land at the airport, like leave our country. Yeah. Freedom fries and shit.
Yeah. But I think
But it's not about 9/11 either.
Not about 9/11, but it's about like
but you do see them in a different light.
Yeah, this is what a person who does this is like.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which I really liked that. I liked that part.
Here's the thing. I thought this was a 9/11 movie. Going into it.
Oh, you did.
But then I realized I was thinking of World Trade Center with Nicolas Cage, directed by Oliver Stone. When it starts in there in Baltimore, I was like, this is interesting. I was like,
they really called in guys from all over.
Ladder 40? I was like, are we gonna watch a montage of them driving the ladder up to New York? Then I was like, oh wait, no, I'm thinking of World Trade Center with Nick Cage.
How many minutes before you realized it wasn't about 9/11?
It was about 2 minutes.
Okay.
It was pretty quick because like once I realized the structure of this movie, I was like, okay,
sure, yeah.
But I did think this was a 9/11 movie.
Mm-hmm.
It was not. Letter 49/11. That's a sequel that this movie needs.
Prequel?
Prequel, Ladder 49/11.
No. Okay.
So the movie starts.
Yes.
And this movie, like the best like log line sentence I could put on this entire movie is an injured firefighter has flashbacks to his the beginning, like the arc of his career as a firefighter.
But first we gotta see how he gets injured.
Exactly. So the first scene is like modern day Walking Phoenix. Like there's
in a big factory.
Yeah, this giant factory is Inferno on.
Yeah.
Like,
why is it always the top floor?
Yeah.
I love how this kind of starts off like they're just like the building is about to like explode and these guys are all like very casual about their jobs.
Which I liked that. It's like
it almost felt like Ghostbusters where they're like walking up the steps and they're like, oh, why is it always the top floor?
Well,
like,
cracking jokes.
Bill Murray's like, put me on floor 20, I'm going to vomit.
And it's kind of like the idea, it's like, every day is just another day on the job until it's not.
Yes.
And so, like, these guys don't know yet that this is, like, going to be, like, the 1 in a million fires in their careers. And which is kind of
another day in the office.
It's just another day in the office to them right now. So yeah, that comment would make sense of like, I'm gonna do this a lot in the movie where every funny line, it's like, but that makes sense.
Yeah.
So like, yeah, for me, it's like, yeah, they don't know that this is like gonna have the stakes that it's gonna have yet. And so yeah, they're climbing up to like the 12th floor or something to save some people who are trapped. Walking Phoenix is there. He's with Robert Patrick. Was with a couple other dudes that were in Ladder 49. And
Robert Patrick looking so good in this movie.
Really good.
He's
the best looking firefighter.
He looks like a real. He looks like a fire.
He's like Steve Buscemi in King of Staten Island.
He looks like a guy you would find in Baltimore.
He's the best looking firefighter, or the most
Just
realistic.
The most
looking,
realistic looking firefighter.
Morris Chestnut's in this movie. Sorry. Okay, continue.
And so they're going up to this floor, and there's a rescue scene. So they're getting a guy. They have a ladder or this bucket that's coming up to collect one of the victims, and they traverse this guy down like the edge about like 10 feet. They get him in the bucket, and it's just Joaquin Phoenix by himself. And then as soon as he gets in the bucket, there's an explosion.
floor
collapses. He falls down like a whole flight or two.
He falls down like 3 stories.
Yeah, he falls down like 3 stories and lands.
Yeah.
And
presumably breaks his legs, though he is moving them later. So
But he's already had the big hero moment because he's like, I think they said there was another guy, so I'm gonna go back.
Yeah.
And
yeah,
then-
because they save
yeah.
a few people in the factory, but he's like,
Yeah.
I think there's another guy. So he runs into and he finds him, and then that's when he
So you
gets
start
him in
this
the bucket.
movie. This guy's a hero.
Yes.
Yeah,
Capital H.
he's
Yeah.
well established already.
Yeah.
Like he's a hero already. So yeah, he falls down 3 flights, lands hard on rubble, fire around him, and then it like kind of fades out,
Yeah.
and then we see Walking Phoenix entering the fire station for the first time in the beginning.
And then I got some questions about the score of this movie. Mark, is that the same thing you were going to
Right
say?
at the same time.
So we cut to that. It jumps to like some Lord of the
Celtic?
Rings style
Celtic?
fantasy. It's like
Yeah. That's the terminal. I'm looking at the
Like-
terminal sticker.
like it straight up starts playing like the score that plays in some discount fantasy theme park.
Lord of the Dance, like
Yeah.
it's very indicative
know
of
what it
early
is, though.
2000 scores. I feel like I don't know. It
I don't
feels
know who
like
does the score.
Like this sounds like the in-universe music you find in a town in Skyrim.
Yeah,
Like
no,
you
100%.
walk into
Yeah.
like Whiterun
Yeah.
or something. There's a guy playing
Yeah.
like doo, doo,
And he's
doo,
like got
doo,
his
doo,
bag
doo,
over the
doo,
shoulder, and he's like, not a care in the world. Walking in, first day on the job.
I used to be an adventurer like you.
Shows
this
up at the
was
fire.
composed by William Ross.
What's he done?
Same person who did The Hunger Games, The Little Rascals.
Is he related to Gary Ross? Brother, director of Hunger Games?
Am I
Similar Ross?
Did he
I
actually do the
don't
Hunger Games?
know.
Gary Ross did.
I'm pretty sure.
The
I don't
first
see
one.
him on here for the Hunger Games.
Gary Ross did the first Hunger Games, but is he related
No,
to
I don't
William
see
Ross?
This
William
is James
Ross
Newton
on here.
Howard, but on his credit,
he's related.
he says he's known for composer, The Hunger Games.
Maybe not.
Interesting.
Maybe it's isn't James Newton Howard a kind of similar thing
okay.
with Hans Zimmer?
Here's something interesting about William
Music
Ross.
by James Newton Howard for Hunger Games.
Here's something interesting about William Ross. He is John Williams' like backup guy. He like when John Williams was doing Attack of the Clones, Minority Report, and Chamber of Secrets at the same time, and he like couldn't do all of them. Oh, and he was also doing Catch Me If You Can at the same time. John Williams was doing 2 Spielbergs, a Star Wars, and a Harry Potter at the same time, and like there's only so much time in the day. So William Ross like kind of did the score for Chamber of Secrets, which John Williams like wrote like 2 themes, and then William Ross like wrote the score around those themes. And it says he's credited on The Last Jedi as well as an additional conductor.
He was the composer for not the first one, but Look Who's Talking Now.
Whoa.
Whoa. Okay.
There we go.
Yeah, this score just felt very indicative of like early 2000s.
Ross conducts the Academy Awards frequently. So he's like the guy who like
Plays the outro music to cut off your speech.
Yes.
Hey, I'd do it. They let me do it. I would do it.
So yeah, it's Walking Phoenix's first day. His name is Jack Morrison.
Yes.
It's his first day at the firehouse, and he walks in. One of the guys gestures him to. Thank you, Jeff.
They're all very like rude to him at first.
Yeah,
They're like, what are you going
They
on?
put up this front like, oh, fucking rookie's here, and then they point to Captain Mike. I don't know his full name.
Travolta?
Mike Kennedy.
Mike
Kennedy.
Kennedy.
Good name.
Good name.
Good firefighter name.
Jack Morrison, Mike Kennedy.
Jack Morrison, Mike Kennedy.
Yeah, good names. So he goes to Travolta's office, and Travolta is asleep.
Yeah.
He walks in, he wakes him up. He's like, "Oh, you're the
You're
new guy."
the rookie, yeah. And he
Yeah.
pulls like a bottle of.
This guy's not very professional.
Well, he.
Huh.
I like his scene. He's like, "This is the most disciplined like engine house where we."
he's holding a big cigar.
Big cigar as he's sleeping.
And he's
though, so
like, "We
gonna drop it.
don't mess around here, and we show up to like majority of fires in the Baltimore region." Meanwhile, he's pouring a shot of,
Yeah.
of whiskey
Knock,
and
knock, knock, knock,
smoking.
knock on the
and then
door.
he stands up to hand his shot off.
The Reverend's here.
And
Oh,
he's
yeah,
wearing.
the Reverend's here.
Yeah.
He stands up, gestures him to the door. We see Travolta wearing boxer briefs.
Yeah, heart, like with a bunch of hearts on them.
Yeah.
And they're
And-
tight.
Yeah.
They are
They're
tight.
so-
too small for him. I
Here's the
think.
thing that slightly bums me out. Is I really liked this Travolta performance in this movie.
Oh, you thought? Yeah.
And I was like, oh, are we about to see Travolta just like going full slob in this? Who's that from?
Should I put him on?
Put him on blast. All right. Well,
What's happening? What's happening here?
You'll meet him soon.
Oh shit!
This will come back later.
Who is that?
He's pissed I did that. Maybe a future guest. I don't know.
he's a future guest.
Oh, cool.
Sorry.
Yeah, we said a future guest call in.
Just
Sunday.
FaceTimed in.
It'll pay off later, maybe. I don't know.
Okay.
Maybe I'll call back.
So yeah, he says the Reverend's here, and so
It'll pay off like 10 episodes down the line.
they show him where his
wait,
locker
I'm
is.
gonna finish. I want to finish with what I
All
was
right,
saying.
finish what you're saying.
He was upset.
I really thought like
At the fake out.
Is Travolta just gonna be like doing a character bit in this movie? Like I don't think it's been a good while since we've seen Travolta like in a character actor role.
Yeah.
Where he's like just like, I don't fucking know, I'm just a firefighter. And he's like walking around in his briefs and like drunk and smoking cigars all the time. And I was like, I want to see this guy.
Honestly, I don't disagree either. And only because I think it could have played well to the story, where it's like you see Jack Morrison, who's like got this like he's got sparkles in his eyes about like I'm gonna be a firefighter, I'm gonna be a hero, and Captain Mike Kennedy, John Travolta is like this sort of broken man who is like, listen, being a firefighter ain't glorious. Like, we're fucking, lowest on the totem pole of men in uniform or whatever. Like, no one gives a shit about it. It's cops, paramedics, and then firefighters.
Well, don't worry, because he's
And,
going to
like-
have a wife who's going to do that for him real soon. But I get what you're saying.
And then like later in the movie, I don't know, like maybe he sees Jack Morrison's like commitment to like being the best firefighter he can, and that reinvigorates his life into the business. I don't know.
It's like a total disservice to Travolta, though, that they give him this like bit to do, and then as soon as he goes, "Ah, just kidding," he's like not really in the movie.
Yeah.
Until he does it again.
Yeah.
So they show him his locker, and then they point him over. It's like, so a priest comes by about once a month, so we all do confession. It's something where they say that you see God in front of the fire.
You see
or
God
whatever.
in the
When
fire.
you're in the fire, you see God. And so we bring a priest in just to sort of clear up your conscience before you go to work. So like it sounds like a ritual or kind of thing that they do for all new guys or whatever. So Joaquin Phoenix sits down, and we hear the voice of the priest.
Yeah.
Did you know right away?
No, I was convinced.
I didn't know who it was either. I thought it was like, oh, this is just a priest that they brought in. And so he's like,
It's like, "Well,
bless
long
your
since your
Father,
last
for I have
confession."
sinned. My last confession was 7 years ago. He's like, 7 years? That's a long
It's a
time.
long time.
He's like, all right. You start telling me about your sins. Like, have you theft, steal? He's like, no, Father. He's like, well, what about sex? He's like, are you a virgin? He's like, no, Father. It's like, you think fornication with women is funny? He's like, no, Father. And then he starts hearing giggles. He's like, wait a minute. And then the curtains draw open, and it's all the fire crew there.
And they're like,
Like, welcome to the firehouse, you mother fucking cocksucker.
Joaquin's like, wait a minute.
Like, wait a
He's such a
minute.
good sport.
Yeah.
He's like, whatever.
he's like, oh, you guys.
You fucking cocksucker. Welcome to the firehouse.
And then it's like 10 more minutes of that.
Yes. It's like 10 more minutes that there's the back slapping and hooting and hollering.
Yeah.
And I also will say, like, later on, I wrote down this note, like, right away, I feel like we're getting a subpar Travolta performance. And I think it's because of after the character bit, then we see, oh, this is the real Mike Kennedy.
He's just playing stoicism and respect.
Yeah.
Not a character.
Exactly. And it's like kind of like, okay. And so then I just sort of checked Travolta out of the rest of the movie, and just, I didn't really care about him, which is why, again, I liked this movie because it was a little refreshing.
It's also around this point where I started noticing a problem I have with this movie.
Sure.
And that's the way that it looks.
Yeah.
This looks like a TV show.
Oh, 100%.
Like, this movie
Yeah.
has the exact same aesthetic as a particular TV show called Chicago Fire.
But this came before.
This came before Chicago Fire, I'm aware. But, like, no, it just has, it's very crisp. It looks very digital. I think it was shot on film, but it looks very digital. It looks flat. Like,
really
it just looks like a TV show.
It's really flat.
Yeah.
Like, it's, I mean,
It's hard to describe in any way besides just it looks like TV.
the DP of
There's
this.
not-
Which used to be an insult,
there
but is now
aren't really
like
compositions.
yeah.
So it wouldn't surprise
it's basic
you then
coverage
that
to get
the DP of this movie is named James L. Carter. I'm going through his
Did he
cinematographer
shoot
credits.
Chicago Fire.
Well, like all of his movies I'm seeing are TV movie, TV movie, TV movie, TV movie. So it's like that. It kind of makes sense that it looks like it was shot like a TV show.
But I think I've seen maybe all of Jay Russell's movies, except for no. I've seen them all.
And this was shot on 35 millimeter. So it was shot
and like
on film.
as someone who works on network television, I work for a network television show.
Yeah.
Very similar to Chicago Fire. In fact, you could say a brother to that show.
Yeah.
But just from how we operate as you know a production, I feel it's very similar in this movie.
Yeah.
Now, is this more so in the context of the lighting, the particular composition? Because I will say, I wrote down later that it gets their first fire scene.
Yeah.
I really liked how that was shot because there's a lot of POV, shaky cam POV shots, quick cuts, and like the combination of the sound. I think the post-production wise, this movie was put together very well because they combine a lot of these elements to really put you in the headspace of how these firefighters are like going into these fires. I do agree that the look of the film is very flat.
So here's the thing.
Composition wise, it's not all that interesting, but there are some like, particularly like the editing and the sound design.
The framing's not emotional. The color.
yeah.
Can we talk about?
You know,
I agree.
So
I agree with all that.
The DP of this movie.
Sure.
Let me give you a lineup of TV shows.
Let's not fucking drag the guy in the dirt, but yeah.
No, I'm not-
I mean, he did mostly TV, so it makes sense.
Like after CSI, Hawaii Five-0,
yeah.
Castle, MacGyver. Like
yeah,
this movie has
hear-
the aesthetic of like a cop show.
I totally agree.
But like, I think to the
It
movies,
works well enough
The
for
movie
this movie.
feels like you're watching a procedural in that kind of.
Oh wait.
show, like-
Okay, wait. We gotta back up for a second.
Oh.
The DP of this movie. Do you know what his first credit ever was?
What?
He was a production assistant
Apocalypse Now.
on a certain 1976 film called Carrie.
Oh, that's cool.
Whoa, cool. Nice little tidbit.
Shout out James L. Carter.
Yeah. But I agree. And that's actually interesting you say the word procedural. Because, I mean, if you think about it, this is just a really long episode
It is.
of like a firefighter show. If you were trying to show like a day in the life, really it's like
7 years in the life.
a lifespan of like a firefighter's career, aka like a day in the life of what a firefighter goes through
His
the
first
eyes
day
of
to
one
his last
person.
day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like I don't think it was intentional, but like if you want to like paint something onto it,
Yeah.
then maybe you could.
I'll give him this. There's one weird shot during the first call where they like, it's not like, I don't know what you would have used in 2004 for the shot, where it's like the modern equivalent of like a GoPro on the chest, where he slides down the pole
Yeah.
and like approaches the truck.
Like a button cam kind of thing.
Did you probably just use a button cam?
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
But the thing that about this movie that I like is that this feels like the type of programmer that doesn't get made anymore.
Yeah.
Like a $40 million, like was this $40 million? Question mark. A $60 million.
Wow.
Like a $60 million
Damn. 60 million.
firefighter movie, a $60 million cop movie. Like those things don't get made anymore.
I mean, I think
Like
you
you're-
see the budget in it though.
You're like,
right?
yeah, like you're hyper competent. Like
But cop movies are always crime movies, and this
Yeah.
is a drama
yes,
about someone's job.
but like these are the types of programmers that don't get made anymore.
Sure,
Is like
yeah.
your mid-range, mid-budget, kind of action movie where like you get a big star or two.
An older, I mean, he's not old,
Yeah.
but like yeah.
Like those, like a very '90s programmer style concept.
yeah.
Except like a thing like these types of stories now just get made into TV, and I think the world is all the lesser for it.
Yeah.
Because like I am happy to watch a 114-minute firefighter movie. I'm not going to watch 10 seasons of 22 episode shows about firefighters.
One season is a year,
Yeah.
a month. Yeah, you just like
Like I like this is the condensed version of those stories that I wish was told more.
Mm-hmm.
And we don't need 50 of these movies.
Yeah.
Like I don't need
Well, I mean, we've had 48 already, so
fuck you.
we only need one more to get to 50.
But we've had like 200 million cop movies, you know, and we have like 80 million cop shows.
I'm now looking up firefighter movies to see how many there are.
Again, backdraft.
But like
World
Ladder
Trade Center.
49 is a great
Ladder
great
49.
movie where it's like I can watch this maybe
Fireproof.
once
List of firefighting films.
once a year maybe. I could probably watch this movie once a year and like just be content with that.
Yeah.
Like this is fine. This is a fine like, if you're ever
It's Stuart saying I watch this movie once a year for me.
I don't. Like I haven't seen this movie since I was a kid.
11 or 12.
But like watching this, like I watched this 2 nights ago.
you fell back in love with it.
Yeah, I fell
Yeah.
back in love with it, and I think I probably won't watch it next year. Might not even watch the year after that, but the year after that, like if I'd have to be reminded of it.
Yeah.
I think that's the key thing. It's like there are movies that we're not like. I make it a mission to watch like Face Off at least once a year. I
Okay,
make
yeah.
it a mission to watch that at least once a year. I'm not going to make it a mission to watch this once a year, but maybe 2 years or 3 years down the line, someone will say the words like Ladder 49 and be like, "Oh yeah,
Just a very
Ladder
casual-
49."
See that fucking ladder over there? Wait, no, 2, 3. There's 49?
Like, "Oh yeah, Ladder 49. That was a good
Stuart's
2004
gonna have this
film."
moment of inspiration 2 years down the line. He's gonna be downtown. He's gonna see a fire engine whip by. He's gonna see a big 49 on the side. He's just gonna stand up, salute,
Fuck you.
cut to him in his apartment watching Ladder 49.
It must be exhausting
You know
living in a
what?
city
I
like
might.
this.
Like, I fucking might. I might, like,
we're
reach a
not
moment
teasing
where,
you.
like, 3 years down
He
the
just
line.
starts hearing. "Doo, doo, 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 doo,
I,
doo."
we were making such a big deal about the jingle, and we can't even fucking remember the jingle. Did this movie have like a reputation? You said you had some firefighters in your family. Did they?
No,
No,
it,
not
it,
really.
it doesn't have any reputation. It's just, like, it hits me harder because
Yeah.
of that.
Okay, yeah.
So,
Yeah.
that's all there is. And
I know one firefighter, and he's just like, I'm a firefighter, so you should fucking respect me. And I'm like, calm down.
yeah, no, that's
I'm
a,
sure
that's,
no one,
that's a bit toolish.
not a lot of people are like him, but he's just like, you don't know what I fucking do for
But I
my,
mean, it
my
is also
city. I'm
like,
calm.
so like I do come from like just a little bit of Stuart Elmore pretext context. Like I come from like a very rural red state conservative town, and I'm very glad I'm living here in Chicago. But the one thing I will say is just like that very like American pride over like men in uniform and like
Yeah.
the armed services and all that stuff. I mean, you can like obviously no system is perfect, and there are some systems that are well far away from perfect.
What are you gonna,
Police.
What are you gonna say? SWAT overrated.
But I do think it's like there is that like tad little bit of spirit where it's just like, like there are guys who wake up.
I mean,
and
that
they
is
put
the
their
thing. Is
lives
no
in
one ever has
danger.
beef with the firefighters.
And maybe there are like maybe there,
Army Rangers, a bunch
maybe
of
there's a
drug
toxicity
peddling.
within like certain fire departments that deserves to be exposed and deserves to be criticized. Like nothing's above criticism and nothing's above like that. But it is just like, for the purest form of what these people do.
It's the one
It earns-
service
it deser-
job where it's very hard to like have a beef with it.
Yeah.
Like there are compelling arguments against police, military. Like there's problems with those systems, but at the end of the day, like firefighters, like
It's true.
they're putting fires out.
I know, and I'm sure there's some sort of
There's
bias
Yeah.
towards certain
And-
communities. I've met EMTs. Like I
Yeah.
used to work in a store that you'd have people come in all the time because they were like passed out,
yeah.
and EMTs would like not like show them any respect.
And
Because
I
they were
will say
homeless or-
this movie actually does like point out some of like the
I don't know why I brought that up.
talk like an example of a toxic flaw within this institution.
Yeah.
And there's a scene when they're like, it's actually the scene when Burke dies and they're on top of a roof and they're like checking their footing to make sure they're not going to fall through. One of the firefighters is like, we should just let these fucking empty lots burn. Like, it's just kind of
Yeah.
like no one lives in this place anymore. And it's
Yeah.
just like the negligence over poor communities.
Yeah.
And that's absolutely something you can criticize the fire department about if they're like, if there's a mentality of like, let the fucking this ghetto ass
Waste of my
neighborhood.
time.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. So it's not above that, but you're like, I agree with what you said. Like it is difficult to find those examples
Yeah.
within this institution.
Yes.
But they do exist. And I think this movie calls that out.
This
All the-
movie's about the good ones.
It is,
Yeah.
but
And
it doesn't.
This
it
movie's
The
doesn't
just about-
goofy ones.
This movie is that vine of the guy being like, what could be better than this? Guys being dudes. That's this movie.
so after the confession scene,
He goes out on his first call.
Yes. He goes to his first fire.
Well, at one point he's called out because he's cleaning the bathroom and he puts the toilet paper
The
roll
best scene in the movie.
in there, but doesn't put it on the holder.
This is Robert Patrick being
And
a
Robert
dick.
Patrick like shuts that shit down. He's like, "No, you put it on."
Put it on.
And I bet Robert Patrick was like, "You put it on upside. I won't be pulling out. I want to be pulling down."
Yeah, down.
You always
down.
pull
Yeah,
down.
you pull down. You don't want to be like pulling under.
Finding underneath it. No,
Yeah.
fucking crazy people. No.
Yeah,
Jesus
lunatics put the toilet paper roll in backwards.
They're the
Yeah.
same people who eat fucking White Castle.
Yes, the same.
Christ. You know they make those hamburgers out of poop, right? Did you know that?
I told
Well,
you
that's
that.
what we call a little callback.
Sorry, that was
folks.
20 weeks ago. Thought that was a fact that I came up with.
Cow manure is what they put
That
in
wasn't a
White
fact.
Castle burgers.
So he goes out on his first call, Jack Morrison.
Yeah.
And it's this like it's just,
And the job that he gets is he's on the engine,
yeah,
which means he is holding the hose.
yes.
He's the hose man, pipe man.
Pipe man.
And we get a nice bit of process of just like them
Yeah.
hooking up, like going and not unscrewing the fire
Well,
hydrant,
and even before that,
hooking the
like,
hose up.
Even
No.
before that, when they're in their bunks and the alarm goes off, and there's this quick 30-second little quick cut sequence of them all getting out, getting their boots on, and then when the trucks leave, it lingers
quiet.
on the empty firehouse
Yeah.
and
The
just
shoes
pointing
on the
attention.
ground.
Yeah, shoes on the ground, and again, just a little attention pointer of like, see how quickly and efficient these guys are, and just like alarm goes off, they're out the
Yeah.
fucking door.
Yeah. And I think this is actually a good scene for Travolta where he's
Yeah.
just like, calm down. You're moving too quickly.
Yeah, This
Slow,
was a
slow.
good scene.
Slow, slow, slow. Okay, we'll go again. Up the doors. Okay,
Oh,
go.
aim it high.
I'll get the door
aim it
for you.
high.
Yeah, he's
Yep,
just kind
yep.
of like telling him to just like, yeah. He's so antsy and just kind of like excited to
Yeah,
be in here.
to
And
put up-
Joaquin Phoenix is a good job. Like this was probably like the best like Phoenix Travolta like acting together scene.
It's certainly the best movie that they're both in.
It's definitely the
This is the best.
It's the best movie.
Joaquin Travolta to win. No.
Just like like Joaquin Phoenix is doing very well at Jesus Christ, fucking dogs. At
No fire dog in this movie though. What's up with that?
no fire dog. That's
Is that a
right.
myth?
I
think it's a myth?
think it is a myth.
Okay.
But yeah, like Phoenix is doing a really good job portraying this rookie who's just like so like amped up on adrenaline and like ready to go in, and Travolta being that like reserved, like hold on.
He's like petting homos. He's like,
Yeah. He's like, let's pull it back, and
Yeah.
this is structure and how we do it.
Then they get some fucking drinks because he nails it.
Yeah.
Yeah, he comes out, he puts the fire out, he comes out.
Well,
and
we
it's like
gotta
a
talk
big
about
celebration.
something that happens in that house. He's walking up the steps with the hose, and he starts hearing, he starts hearing like all these,
Oh, yeah.
and all these fucking rats start coming down.
Yeah.
And Troll's like, "It's just rats, son. You got to keep going." And Joaquin just starts walking up, and you hear
Crunch.
Yeah, he crunches
he's
the
like
rats.
walking on the. Ew,
How could I
it's so
forget
gross.
the rats?
Love it.
It's so gross.
They got to do it though.
They gotta do it, but so gross.
Got to get up the stairs.
But they get there and they put the fire out, and then they're all outside, and like this house is like smoldering behind them, but they put out the fire, and they're like, "Yeah!" And this family's there watching all their possessions having been burnt to a crisp, and the fire was like, "Yeah, we did it! Woo!"
I almost feel like we can't talk about all the other flashbacks to him in the burning building because none of that moves any of it forward. It's just, okay, his guys rescuing him are a little bit closer now.
Well,
Okay, now they're a little bit closer.
That is absolutely like I can understand why this probably isn't like fresh in Rotten Tomatoes and why like critics wouldn't like this movie, because you're right. Like in terms of the central arc of the story, it moves like 2 feet.
Cutting back, it's like, okay, all right.
And now we're like I literally
They're
write
on
down
another level now.
like I write down and after the first fire, I say back to modern day. Phoenix is on the ground injured, and then Travolta arrives, assumes command, flashback.
Yeah.
That's all that happens.
It's not like okay, here's something that Travolta, Kennedy taught him, and then we cut forward to the future, and here's how he uses that
Exactly,
to save himself.
exactly.
But it's not enough at the end. It's not
yeah.
that version of it. It's just
Totally
kind of like
agree.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's certainly a flaw in the movie, and I'm willing to overlook it.
Yeah.
But that's just me. But yeah, he puts out his first
just him.
fire, and again with this first fire, like this is the part where I'm watching how like the shots are constructed and the editing and the sound design, all those elements came together really well for me, and I thought it really portrayed very well just sort of the experience,
Yeah.
putting you in the shoes of Joaquin Phoenix
firefighter.
as his first like fire, because they talk about in the featurette that when you're in like a burning building, the first thing that goes is you can't see anything because of
Yeah.
the smoke. and they do a really good job of like disorienting you, and like the camera being super close to the ground because they're like all crouching down and like the smoke, because the smoke's all going up and they're trying to grab for air and everything's like covering their face and there's fires everywhere. And John Travolta said in the feature too, it's like you're really using the fire inside the house as your guiding points.
I remember from like one of the making ofs on the DVD, it was like, yeah, we took a camera crew into a burning building to try and get references, and you can't see anything.
Yeah.
It's black. So
This is a black screen.
obviously we couldn't shoot like realistic scenes. They had to look like, we had to visually, fucking like, but so.
Which that's something like all the gear that they have is like actual gear, except for the oxygen tanks. The oxygen tanks are fake like rubber tanks that weigh like 2 pounds, because actual oxygen tanks are like 50 pounds.
I know.
So yeah.
They didn't BC that. They didn't go method.
Yeah. But yeah, I really liked I liked how that
cargo method.
yeah. I
You
liked
need
how
to put on the oxygen tank and get the unobtainium.
I just wrote down like I liked how that scene was put together, and I like that it's not explicit that Joaquin Phoenix is like new and the rookie. I mean, like we know he is, but it's not like there's not like dialogue of like, whoa, rookie, like hold yourself back, you're going too far. It's purely in just the attitudes and their little like nuances in their performance. Like just like Phoenix would be like, I gotta go in, and Travolta's like, whoa. Like it's not that explicit. It's just like little mannerisms that show like this guy is like new, he's amped up on adrenaline, he's ready to go in, but he's being pulled back, and it's very subtly done, but it paints the picture very well. So that's just, I really liked this first fire scene. It was really cool.
So after that scene, they go grocery shopping.
It's the modern day.
Yeah.
Well, we're back to the modern day. Fire.
Where they're like, we gotta get to him. I think he might be on floor 10.
That's what I'm saying.
He's on the ground injured, and they're trying to radio to him. And then cut to outside of the fire, Travolta arrives.
Yeah.
And the audience doesn't know this yet, but he had taken up a post at headquarters.
They can see it now.
Yeah, I mean, how would you know about that though?
Because he's
wearing a different outfit.
Gray hair.
He has gray hair. He has a different kind of like helmet.
Yeah.
He's got like a different thing written on his back. And you can tell he's like, I'm taking over control of this.
Yeah.
From the guy that
Stuart,
Joaquin showed up with.
Now that he's a little gray in the hair, do you think it's time to sidebar?
This is where I was going.
Sure. Let's go to the hair ranking. Cue the music. Welcome to the hair ranking.
Was that music new?
New
New era?
I think.
No, we're still in the same era.
Oh, God. Okay,
Yeah,
okay.
it's still same era, so it's same music. So,
Do you like a little salt and pepper in there?
well, here's the issue.
The issue.
We get a little bit of urban cowboy problems in this movie.
What?
Ooh.
He's wearing a firefighter helmet a lot of the times in this movie.
Not that often.
Quite often. And so, like,
When he's fighting fires,
let me
sure.
pull up like
You need
a photo
protection.
of John Travolta in this movie, because honestly,
My question is this the first time you've done a gray Travolta?
No, we specifically
So,
ranked him at
this
the
is
end of Swordfish.
the
where he's
first
gray.
photo.
Is he gray?
Yeah.
The first photo you pull up, a ladder 49 is a poster, and then the next photo, Travolta wearing a helmet.
That poster is more cinematic than
Next poster, next, Travolta wearing a helmet, and then it's an ad that I
Then
accidentally
you click
clicked.
on the ad.
And then it's Joaquin Phoenix in a helmet. Then it's Travolta with a helmet. Then it's Joaquin Phoenix. Okay, does this have Travolta? It does, but nope, Travolta's not in this one.
I feel like it looks like the
Travolta in a helmet.
It looks like the fucking basic hair. It's like squared off.
So like I
It's
don't
the same
I
as
don't
the basic hair, just with a little gray halfway through.
No, I feel like he doesn't get gray until halfway through the movie. Am I right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And then it's middle gray at the kid's birthday party, and then full gray. But then he has the fucking
There, there it is.
Okay, I'm watching that now. Put it
That's longer than a basic.
above basic, below phenomenon
Above basic, below phenomenon.
because of the gray.
Did you
Give
guys
him-
like Phenomenon?
Phenomenon's a good movie.
Oh, it was alright.
Nuts.
It's one of those weird movies that is like so much more interesting to hear someone describe to you, and you
Yes.
watch and you're
Have
like,
you
"This is
listened
really
to the
gentle."
podcast?
Huh? I haven't.
Listen to the episode.
on Phenomenon.
It's a good episode.
Okay.
Adam talks about trees.
Yeah, we.
Yes, why? Of course.
There's
a whole
like a
bit
5-minute sidebar where he's just describing wind blowing through trees. It's great.
That's so sweet.
You should absolutely listen to that
And
one.
Jeff tries to convince me how much of the Jesus story it is.
Yeah, it's literally the New Testament.
Yeah.
John Travolta dies for our sins and phenomenon.
Yeah.
So Travolta assumes command, and then he this was one of the IMDb goofs that they got wrong, that it wasn't a goof.
Yeah.
So the goof was that John Travolta uses 2 different radios as a firefighter in this like modern day fire scene. But what he's actually doing is he has a sidearm radio where he's using to contact the rescue team inside, and he's using his like hook on radio to talk to Joaquin Phoenix on a different channel, because he says when he shows up in the second modern day scene, like he assumes command, he's like, all right, Jack Morrison, ladder 49, come in. And then he like Joaquin Phoenix slowly wakes up and he's like, this is Jack Morrison, ladder 49. It's like, and he says, Jack, switch to a different channel. So he switches to a different channel so he can talk to him through
They
this
don't
walkie.
touch channels though.
What?
He can't reach it, so they decided to do it on that same channel.
I thought he said like switch to a different channel though.
He like can't reach his thing. He can't reach his thing, and he's like, I guess you didn't fucking teach me how to like fucking do the thing right. And they just started talking shit.
Well, either way, he's talking to
Doesn't matter.
Jack Morrison and the search and rescue team on 2 different channels.
Mm-hmm.
So the IMDb goof, whoever wrote that down, was fucking wrong. John Travolta needed to have 2 walkies.
I have 2 walkies.
Yeah, I'm saying.
Can you
right
amend
there.
it on IMDb?
Stuart's gonna write a complaint
Yeah,
to
no,
the editor.
no, I won't fucking stand for that.
Let me just look up this goof because it fucking.
While
pissed-
Stuart looks this up, can I say something about this movie?
Hit me.
It's going back. So apparently, there's a deleted scene to this film.
Is
Where-
it in the fucking? Is it in the building or is it
where
in the,
Joaquin comes back home after like dropping his kids off at school
Okay.
and sees his wife watching 9/11 on TV? So this almost was a 9/11 movie.
Okay, I found the goof, but actually, if you read it out fully, it's under the category incorrectly regarded as goofs.
Yeah.
So I was already right. It says, when Chief Kennedy is talking to trapped Jack Morrison on radio from outside the building when showing Jack trapped in the burning building, the type of radio Chief Kennedy is using changes multiple times. Sometime Kennedy is talking on a portable radio with no mic attached to it. That's the one where he's actually talking to the rescue team. And sometimes he is talking on a portable radio with a speaker mic attached to it. That's the one where he's like using on his shoulder and is talking to the mic in his hand. However, it is common for the Baltimore City Fire Department to run on a TAC channel and a communications channel, therefore causing a chief to have 2 radios.
Duh.
Everybody
Obviously.
fucking knows that.
This movie did its fucking research.
You showed them. You showed them.
I don't want to
you didn't do
hear
that.
it. I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear it. So,
They put in the fucking arc. They did it.
They did it.
okay. So Travolta assumes command, makes contact with Jack and the rescue team, and they're trying to get to him.
It's probably the only memorable one of those flash forwards because Travolta shows up. I could not differentiate the
rest
other
of
ones.
I mean,
And the rest of them are him slowly removing bricks from
mean,
a wall as a
yeah.
bunch of dudes cut through metal.
yeah.
I think they all do have some bit of progress. Like I think the third
They
one
cut
is,
through one
They get a
metal
little bit
bar.
closer.
well, the third one
He
is
removes a brick.
the third one is that they tell
They could have cut out 2.
they
of
tell
them.
Jack that he has to move to a different room.
Mm-hmm.
And because there's 4. It's
Why
the
does he
first
have to,
scene,
though?
the second scene, the third scene, and then I have 4 pages of notes on this movie. Yeah. Permafil, yeah, modern day. Okay, yeah. So there's 5. The third one, because the first one's the beginning of the movie, second one's Travolta shows up. Third one, yeah, the third one's kind of.
What do you think about the fucking scene in the supermarket, though?
Okay, yeah, let's get to the supermarket.
So
Get
they're-
into that shit.
So there, it's Billy Burke and Joaquin.
Bella's
Chief
dad.
Swan himself.
Chief Swan from Twilight.
I fucking salute Chief Swan. I love a man in uniform. Oh my gosh.
Chief Swan, the real hero, drinking his coffee. Doesn't he eat something weird in those movies?
And
In Twilight?
he's always eating.
Well, he's always eating. I thought there's something specific.
Oh, I forgot. Maybe it's a hot dog.
But
It's
anyway,
a big
so
steak in the first
They're
one. I
they're
remember
they're going shopping in the supermarket.
They're getting food for the house.
But the food's not the only thing they're searching for. They're searching for ladies. And who did they see? Linda,
I forgot her name. She's in a bunch of stuff in the early 2000s.
played by Jacinda Barrett. Barrett,
She
who's apparently Australian.
Mm-hmm.
She popped up in one of the Bridget Jones movies.
Bridget Jones. What's the other one she's in?
She's in Bloodline, the Netflix show, or the was Netflix show. But yeah, they see her and they see what is her friend's name?
She looks like
I don't know.
I think it's like Marguerite or something.
She doesn't
like
really come back.
Margarita.
Though,
Yeah.
I don't think.
Margarita.
But so they get a double date, and they go out to dinner with the two
first
girls.
they ask them, "Hey, do you know where the ketchup is?"
Billy Burke walks up to her and goes, "What's this fucking snack in your
Oh yeah, he's
It's,
like,
shopping cart?
he
Only
says,
fat girls
fat girl
eat that.
eating alone
Only
snacks."
fat, lonely girls eat that." And they're like, "Look at this hunky ass firefighter."
yeah. And then
No, they're kind of at first like,
and he's
"Does
trying
that
to set
always
up
work?"
Linda with Jack, and so he's
Yeah.
like, "Hey, can you show me where the ketchup is?" And she's like, "Yeah, for sure." Margarita is, or whatever her name is. And so she
Margarita.
walks up with Billy Burke. And then Jack's like, "You want to go on a date with me?" And she's like, "I don't know." But then they end up going on a date.
No, he comes. No, they like talk about like he's a captain, I'm a sergeant.
Yeah.
Bullshit. He like lies about his title.
Yeah.
And she's like, "Oh, cool. And Billy Burke comes back and is like, Crab Shack at
Crab
7.
Shack 8 o'clock.
You thank me
But the
later."
thing is, Billy Burke comes back and he's carrying Hunt's ketchup. I'm very mad about this.
why?
What the fuck is he doing with Hunt's? You get Heinz.
Oh, maybe it was is Hunt's real?
I'm sorry, I'm a
Hunt's
I'm
real?
a Pennsylvanian, and you got to respect Heinz ketchup.
Is Heinz from?
Yeah.
Ladder 57. Sorry.
I think Heinz is just okay.
What?
What's your go-to then?
What?
I don't know.
Is Hunt's have kind of like the green label on it?
Heinz is not really anything special.
I like Heinz from a glass bottle. If you're asking me myself.
And actually, it's a little sour in my opinion.
Yeah, Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, Heinz.
What are the other good ketchups?
It's fine.
Heinz is the good ketchup.
Heinz is McDonald's as well, right? That they have Heinz and McDonald's.
Yeah, Heinz is at
Yeah,
McDonald's.
Heinz is
I like those
okay.
little packets.
That's just fine.
Stuart, I need you to get the fuck out of here.
What about its mustard?
Oh, I'm sorry. Is a bit that I'm doing causing you some distress, Jeff?
Not distress.
Well, this
He's
isn't
just
a
a big
bit. This
Heinz
is just you
fan.
telling mistruths.
Mistress.
Like you speaking in voices of other characters coming to your apartment?
I don't control when these people come by. I have no control over the matter.
Mark, do you believe a single word he says?
Bill Clinton?
Shut the fuck
Through
up!
the door. What?
All right, so they go on this double date. No! I will walk out.
You gotta lock your door, Jeff.
I will fucking leave.
Jesus.
I will fucking leave.
You have,
talking about
you have a lot of like
firefighters?
collectibles in here, and
You
you're just
talking about
walking out the
firefighters?
street.
I'm leaving. I'm leaving.
Oh, bye,
Bye,
Bill. Okay. Did he do
That
that?
was
huh?
really quick.
Like his presidency.
Oh.
2 terms. Sorry, I forgot. Anyway, okay.
Bill Clinton probably defunded the fire departments, but whatever.
He ran in, jumped on the mic, and ran back out. That was
Yeah,
crazy.
no, I know.
All right, so they go on a date, and they're hitting it off.
Yeah.
There's some good chemistry there.
There's no chemistry.
No, there is.
There's no chemistry.
No, there is.
First they're like just chatting, and then Billy Burke looks at Margarita, and
Like
is
going out for a smoke.
and is like, "You want to go out for a smoke?" and like winks 7 times at the camera, and then she's like, "Oh yeah, I'll go out for a smoke."
This woman is not a real person.
And the
though.
two of them go out, and then a waiter brings 2 drinks over for them and says, "It's from your friend over there," and they're like, "Oh, they set us up."
No, every scene with her is like she can drink so much beer,
Yeah.
or she is so angry that he's still a firefighter.
Yes, for
Or she does do like I think in the first date she goes like, "What's that on your neck?" And she's like, "I make my own jewelry." It's not what
It's
I want
never
to do
brought
with,
up again.
It's not what I want to do with my life, but
Yeah,
it's what I'm doing right now.
In terms of her agency as a character, there is none. There is none.
But
And-
like the next scene is her at a bar with him, and she meets the fire crew.
Whoa!
Not that we skipped over.
It's the goose locker prank.
Oh, God forbid! God forbid!
Does it do anything for the movies?
I forgot
Nope.
there's no
He opens
fire
up his
dog,
locker,
it's a fire
and a goose jumps out.
And then Linda calls Jack.
Yeah,
I think they ate that goose so they had to return
and they're
it.
like, "The girl wants to be the mother of your child." Colin, he runs
No,
over.
it's like she says like you like you're the father of her son or something like
Yeah.
that. And then he goes and they're all making fun of him. So then they're on a phone call and
they're Josh and him.
then she goes to the bar with the boys.
And then the next scene is their marriage.
Yeah. What's the name of the
Well,
drink though? Is it
well-
like the tire?
No, the next scene is the modern
It's
day.
the Irish car bomb.
The
is what they
Irish car bomb, which just
Yeah.
looks like beer and a shot of
drink. It's I think it's just a shot of.
Bailey's.
I think it's Bailey's in a beer. Let me look. I don't.
That doesn't sound very good.
Would it be? In
And she's
Guinness?
like,
like
"I'm
a-
gonna be so sick tomorrow."
It's like a
yeah,
Siberian
it's an Irish.
mist.
It's a Bailey's in a Guinness.
Oh, I've never had a Guinness.
What?
Never.
All right, we're
Jeff,
fixing this right now.
You know what? You know what I haven't had yet?
What?
A Siberian mist.
Oh
What is
yeah.
that?
It's a drink that was said on the 1995 film She's So Lovely.
Yeah.
With Sean Penn, Robin Wright, John Travolta. Sean Penn orders from a bar what's called a Siberian mist. And it's
How does-
basically a bunch of hard liquors
Mixed
together.
It's like everything in one.
Does the movie make a big deal about it?
Yeah, he loves his Siberian mist.
So after they go to the bar, they wake up in bed together. They're like in a relationship. Before they get married, it's a modern day scene.
Yeah, they date before they get married.
Oh yeah, we go back to the modern day and then they get married right afterward.
Well, hold on.
We skip over their whole
They
courting.
go to the modern day. Joaquin Phoenix is on the rubble. He's still hurt, and the firefighters are looking for him. They open a door, and there's a bunch of debris in the way, and they have to get up a song.
Gotta respect for these guys.
And then
we gotta
then
pay
it's the
homage to their
flashback,
sacrifice.
where they go to the wedding, and then
Yes.
it's the wedding.
It's the wedding.
You gotta treat the movie with respect.
And
guys.
Travolta's really happy right there.
I
happy.
feel like he's not in this part of the movie.
He's
He comes
at
back.
the wedding.
He's at
That's
the
about it.
wedding.
There's a bunch of random guys at the wedding. All the fire crew does like a rap number.
Oh no, they do fire.
Oh, yeah.
Boom. Really original.
Fire.
Really original, guys.
And I think the next scene is they go out on a call, right? It's to the
It's
vacant
the-
lot, right?
No,
don't give a
they
fuck.
get married, and then there's a new guy who shows up.
Oh, yeah,
and it's
Jay
a
Hernandez.
And now it's like, now Joaquin settled in.
Yeah.
Now Jack
And he's the one
Morrison's one of the
pulling
boys.
the priest prank.
And there's the priest prank. So
This is a disgusting
so
scene.
Jack Morrison is with all the firefighters behind the bed sheet, and Robert Patrick's pretending to be the priest. And so they do the whole confession prank
Yeah.
again, and it's like, "Bless me, Father, for I've sinned." Last confession is like, "Oh, so what sins have you committed? Tell me about sex. What's sex like?" Well, it's like, "Are you a virgin?" He's like, "No, Father." It's like, "You think it's funny to fornicate with women?" And he's like, "Well, actually, Father, I really haven't fornicated with any women." It's like, "What do you mean?"
Are you married?
Are you
no,
married?
it's not legal.
No,
the Catholic
it's not
Church won't
legal
let
what
me.
I do. He's like, well, what do you mean? And they're all looking at each other weird. It's like, Father, I'm gay. And all the guys are like looking at each other like,
They
what?
like they're a pin drop.
Because this is classic like 2004, like a gay firefighter.
Yeah.
What the fuck?
And then Jay
It sucks.
Hernandez
It's
rips
bad.
the curtain open.
He's like, hey, it's a joke. Hey, would it be gay?
and collectively we move on.
even in 04, they're like, it's fucking
Yeah.
dumb and trite.
And then we never see Jay Hernandez again. In the show.
No, we don't see him ever.
He clearly didn't cut
They
it.
found out he was gay and they kicked him out.
Yeah.
He's actually gay.
Then there's like
God.
a weird parade scene where the firefighters are marching in it.
Yeah, they march in a parade. It's the St. Patrick's Day parade.
Yeah.
And then the
And then the bar scene.
Got you pregnant.
Linda's not drinking, and he's like, "What are you, pregnant?" And it's awkward silence. And then Jack turns around. It's like, "What?" It's like, "I was gonna tell you." Oh my god!
And then the great grandson of John Paul Getty goes, "No more drinks for Linda. Doubles
Wait.
for Jack."
Who is that? Is that
Balthazar Getty is the great grandson.
What?
Yeah.
Wait a minute.
That guy who plays Billy Burke's brother. I thought you knew this.
I knew
We
that he
would've-
was in this movie. I had no idea Balthazar Getty was related to the Getty family.
Yes. It's true.
Oh my God, there it is.
We got James Vanderbilt
John
in the
Paul
last
Getty
in the
III.
last movie.
Father, Sir Paul. Oh my God.
He was in fucking Lord of the Flies. He was like a child actor.
Learn something with you here, Mark, every day.
Oh my gosh.
It's great. So after that, she announced she's pregnant.
I like that guy's
then
performance,
there
though.
is another fire.
Dead ass. Like, Balthazar Getty's great grandfather was John Paul Getty, played by Christopher Plummer / Kevin Spacey, and all the money in the world.
Yep.
And his father is the one who was kidnapped.
Yep.
That's insane. I had no idea.
I know. He's alive at 49. His name is Balthazar.
He was in Twin Peaks.
Yeah.
So after
Alias?
Linda announces she's pregnant, then there's another fire.
Yes.
Now there's some stakes now. Now he's
So
going to
they
be a
respond
daddy.
to the fire. They all get on the roof, and they're like poking at the roof, making sure like there's not like any like parts that's gonna fall and collapse. But Dennis, Billy Burke,
He steps on like a loose spot.
steps on a loose spot,
And he's like, oh no! And he turns around and looks at the camera. He's like, oh shucks! And then he goes straight down, Looney Tunes style, into the flame.
Oof. He goes burnt.
Flame shoots up.
He
And they're
gets
like,
him.
ow!
No, but it's sad though. It fucking sucks,
yeah,
man.
good
He
joke,
lived-
Jeff. A firefighter died.
Billy Burke died. Who probably makes.
Yeah, a firefighter who'd been in the force for how many years sacrificed his life. Jesus.
I mean, it
I
is kind
know.
of funny how he
So-
just like turns around and looks right at the camera, and he's
He
just like,
doesn't-
"Oh shit!" right down.
you
And
made that up. That doesn't happen.
That does happen.
No, it doesn't.
it does.
Stop making jokes, man. He really he was a real important guy.
I know. He
And-
might have called some girls fat, but
Yeah. And then they cut to his.
Yeah,
funeral.
but it's Chief Swan, man. That sucks when he died.
They cut to his funeral.
Is this-
Margarita's not there. In
Is he
spite of
with Marguerite?
well, she was
They like
with
to-
him
I
at the
guess,
wedding.
Yeah. Who says? Am I crazy for thinking? I didn't remember it this time. There's like a wife who says like, "Thing about being with a firefighter is, at least the funeral's nice."
I don't
Is
remember that. in
I
the
don't
movie at
remember that
all.
line.
No, I'm not crazy, right? That's a
Does
that's
that
the thing.
happen?
Yeah.
I don't remember that.
I don't
Maybe it
remember
was a
that at all.
deleted scene, bro.
Deleted.
I
scene.
had the DVD. I watched it all the time. She's like, "Thing about being with a firefighter is, it's basically like at
Yeah.
least the funeral's paid for." You know, it's
Mhm.
like that. Yeah.
So after the funeral, the guys are sitting by themselves at the firehouse, and Robert Patrick says something like, "Dennis wasn't paying attention."
Yeah.
He's like, "What?"
Goofing off.
And then a fight breaks out, and they
Chestnut
start to
beats his
fight.
ass.
And then Travolta comes in, and I love the way how he breaks up the fight.
Yeah.
He walks in, he's like, "Hey!" And he throws a chair
At the
he's
wall.
Like, "Hey!" And he's like, "I just had to come back from telling a mother that her son died protecting the city in my house, and I get this in my house,
in my house.
In the middle of the street.
Our house.
You guys. And he's like, "Hey, what? Think about lowering the flag? Do it."
Do it.
And he walks away.
It was actually funny because like it starts with a wide shot of the firehouse and the flag was not lowered, and I was like, that's weird. And then Travolta brings up that they didn't lower the flag,
Yeah.
so I was like, it was pointed.
Yes. Yeah.
So the next bit
Probably
there's
the script
It's like this
supervisor.
movie has done its research.
so the next bit is like the big hero moment for Joaquin, right?
Well, he
The big
tells
fire.
no, wait. He tells it's Joaquin or it's Jack and Linda at home, and he's like thinking,
Oh, he's jumping to search and rescue.
and
He's
he
taking
tells
Billy
Linda,
Burke's
it's like,
spot.
I
Yeah.
think I want to take Dennis's job, search and rescue. I don't want to be a pipe man anymore. She says, isn't that more dangerous? And he's like, well, I mean, like every job kind of has its own thing, but yes, I wouldn't have a hose. I would just be jumping in, like I would be going in the building without a hose.
Yeah.
Trying to get people out. And so she's like, well, like she's a little hesitant about it, but she's like, you do what you want to do. So he talks to Captain Mike about it, about doing that. And he's like, well, kind of similar thing, hesitant about it. He was like, we'll give it a shot. First fire, skyscraper.
Yeah, skyscraper flame on like the 12th floor.
His first like search and rescue gig
There's a
is
bunch
he has
of
to
hero
traverse
moments.
like off the side of a
Yeah.
like 10-story building, which again part of the featurette that no, this wasn't the featurette. This was the GQ Firefighter Breaks Down. They says like firefighters would do that because their fire truck ladders only go up so high. It goes up to like a certain number
They
of
only go up
stories.
about 49 feet or something like that.
Keep it up, Jeff. Keep it up.
That'd be funny if each ladder was like, okay, no, that building's too tall. You got to send the ladder.
You gotta send ladder 68.
Ladder 68. Sorry, no, not making fun. That'd be so weird if it operated like that. I'm happy it doesn't. It'd be real.
In case the audience is wondering why Stuart is peeved right now, is because this is our 48th episode, and it could have been our 49th episode. But we could not think of an episode to slide in before this one.
Oh, look, the air turned off. Okay. So it's accurate that they would be doing like, the rooftop traverse. Like that was something that the firefighter in the interview was like, yes, that's the thing we would do because our truck ladders don't go up so high. So they get on the roof, and there's a guy that's like hanging outside like the window of a burning
He's like,
apartment. He's like, help, help. And so they do. This is again sort of similar to that first fire scene when the alarm goes off, and they all like get their gear and they leave, and it's just kind of very procedural in how they do it, and
I'll process.
And this scene is kind of similar in that way, how they set up like the whole rope pulley system, and it's very like procedural and has a process to it. Cool to see. So then they get Jack in like the rope, and then he starts going down like the side of the building, and he's like telling them like, go down like 10 more feet. Oh, okay, we're good. And then he sees the guy, and he's like, all right, you're gonna stay calm. And then the guy's like, oh, and he jumps on Jack. The rope like slides down. They slide down a few a few stories, and then the rope stops, and he's like, all right, you need to like calm down, or else you're gonna kill us both. Yeah. And then this was the part where like, this is probably like one of the few, and I won't say the only one, there's probably a few inaccurate moments, is Jack
it's
does
also
this,
nonsensical.
Well, Jack does this superhero Mission Impossible like move.
He is not applying nearly enough force. I don't know what kind of window that is.
So
he puts his feet against the ledge of like this window that they are parallel with.
Yeah.
He like pushes back and gets like leverage, and he's trying to like break the glass to use the momentum of him and the guy to go.
He's trying to do the Ethan
building.
Hunt and Ghost Protocol thing.
Yes. Oh yeah. Yes. And like, and they actually talked about this on the GQ interviews. Like, that's not something that would happen. Like, we would have an inside team who would probably like break the window from the inside and like would just.
Well,
grab
the thing
you guys
is,
in.
he breaks the glass,
and there's
immediately three fucking firefighters run up to the window with metal poles.
Right.
They could have just smacked that thing. Why was he doing that?
He beat him there.
It was a superhero moment, and
And it's also important to note there's a news helicopter right next to him this whole time, following him.
But
yeah, they're like, we're gonna get the name of this firefighter who did this heroic act.
And so he goes home.
Linda's
fucking pissed.
Linda's so mad. He's
Where
like,
were you?
I saw you on the TV.
At the bar. The boys.
Yeah, he's like, I'm a little drunk. I was at the bar with the boys.
But that's
like,
not
I
why
saw
she's
you on
pissed
the
off.
news.
And it's like, how can you tell me what you're doing is not dangerous?
He's like, I didn't say it wasn't dangerous. Just said it was
about
not.
the same amount of dangerous as the other jobs or whatever. Like, they're all equally dangerous or whatever he says. So I think the next note I have is they have their baby.
Yeah.
So I don't know if anything does happen in
No,
between there.
it jumps right to the baby.
Okay, cool.
And then the baby is baptized. And there's a really nice transition that I like. Because it shows the baby, and the priest is pouring the baptism water onto it.
Oh,
and the camera pans up with the water dripping onto the baby. And then it transitions to water dripping onto
on
Joaquin's
Jack
head
when he's like
when he's
injured
in
the fire.
Mark's about to drop some shit.
Very clever.
You like that shit,
Sounds
right?
like a match cut.
You like that? You like
Some
that?
cinematic devices movies
Whoa.
using about time. Sorry, no, just kidding.
It's like as
A
if this,
real movie
it's like,
trick?
It's like as if this movie is pretty good.
I'm not here to fight.
Do you like this little reverse that's going on here, Jeff?
This is the opposite of basic.
It's like as if this movie is pretty good.
I'm like, yeah, this movie's fine. It's good. It's fine.
It's like it's really good.
A solid 6 to 7 out of 10.
It's like a good 8 out of 10 fucking
Ooh, an
movie.
8 out of 10. That's a bold.
Well, I gave it a 7 on IMDb, but it's a strong 7.
Stuart's one of those people who ranks movies on IMDb aggressively.
I appreciate that. We need
appreciate
more
it.
like people like you out there
Thank you.
bumping those averages up.
I think it's a strong 7. It's got an average of like a 6.5 on IMDb right now. I think it deserves a 7, in my opinion. So yeah, we're back in the modern day when Jack is injured. And the only thing that I could write down that actually happens in this modern day bit was they tell Jack to move to the control room.
Yeah.
And so he starts digging at the bricks, which that was something that I saw him start to do because he has a little crowbar. And like, I don't know if his back is broken.
Yeah.
I don't know
his
if
legs are broken, but he's moving his legs.
Yeah. Well, do we know his legs are broken? He just says I'm beat up pretty bad.
Yeah.
So like, I don't know if his
He's
legs
got
are
like 4 stories.
Yeah, like I'm sure something's broken.
Yeah.
And like if his legs are broken, you move him. It's probably painful.
Yeah.
But you can still move him. He never walks. He just like crawls. But he has to like pick through this like brick wall to get to this control room because that's like the best access spot where they're gonna be able to get him. And that's where like Travolta and like one of the other engine chiefs are looking through blueprints of the thing. It's like, oh, if we tell Jack to get to the control room, our guys can pick him up here and they can go down this flight. It's like, all right, Jack, so you're gonna move, and then he starts digging at the wall, and then we go back to Jack and Linda's daughter's birthday party where they also have a boy now.
Yeah.
So multiple years are passing in between all of these like little flashbacks. So
Do you think this movie is kind of not to say I have any flaws with this very perfect movie, but like I think that like
honest flaws are okay.
I
Mark.
wonder if
it's
it
the fucking
loses,
jokey bits that
I wonder if it loses a bit of tension by its devotion to realism. By Travolta is in charge of the operation, he would not enter the building for his man because he's the guy outside.
Yeah.
He's gonna send guys in. He's more.
Yeah.
It's more important for him to be outside, kind of like
Supervising
coordinating
the
this
whole
thing.
Yeah.
Whereas a movie who wasn't really that interested in paying attention would be like, no, he's gonna go in after his boy. The movie's gonna be about them. It'd be about him and his mentor. At the end of the movie, he's gonna have to be like,
The movie gets some juice.
get some juice. And at the end of the movie, he's gonna have to be like, I
gotta leave him
can't
behind.
save him. I have to leave him behind.
That- I
and
agree.
then you have, and I'm sure it's like really melodramatic, but like,
I agree.
and then there's this sort of like,
if it, instead of the guys who open the barn door and,
and then
shut
the
it,
cutbacks are to Travolta.
it's Travolta who's inside the building
going
trying
through
to
the
get to
building,
him.
and the poster looks. I mean,
And maybe there's like the scene where like Travolta is like trying to break through a wall and he can't. So, because I also kind of didn't like how we're skipping ahead a little bit, but I didn't like how like they preface like, we can't get to Jack like this. We open this door and a bunch of fire blows out. Like, put it out. Like, I don't know what to tell you guys. Like, put it out. But like, if it was something like Jack is in the control room and Mike has to break through a wall and like he breaks through it and they're on the wrong floor.
Yeah.
And like, oh shit, it's like no, and like and then the building's about to explode and like, Chief, the integrity is losing, like you gotta get out. And he's like, no, I gotta get Jack. And Jack's just like, Chief, like tell my wife or something. Like,
sure, but
yeah.
Jack has to just kind of just be like, hey, I learned how to appreciate the moments in my life because of you. Because this movie is really just about like a guy who's like appreciating his life.
Yeah.
There's not real arc for him. It's just kind of a reflective.
Here's
Go for it.
But I agree with what you were
Go
saying.
for it.
you know who liked this movie a lot?
Who?
Roger Ebert. Roger Ebert gave this 3.5 out of 4 stars.
Like Stuart.
Respect.
Let's
go!
Roger Ebert
My
gave,
guy!
Roger Ebert gave this a near perfect score. And his review is, this movie is not about a dying man whose life passes before his eyes, but about a man who saved a life, put himself in danger, and how he got to that place in his life, what his life and family mean to him. Because it is attentive to these human elements, Ladder 49 draws from the action scenes instead of depending on them.
Fucking hate Roger.
Stuart has just stood up. Oh my
You
God.
have a picture of Robert Ebert in your backpack? You're saluting it? Cool.
It's like this movie is really good.
Well, now that Roger says.
Stuart is going full Jeff in this episode. I don't know what to tell you.
Wasn't it? I'm gonna pull up a recording from a previous episode and put it right here just to make a point. But wasn't it Jeff who said, "We stan a legend, Roger Ebert"?
Yeah,
So
we do.
I'm just saying,
We do.
man.
We have to. I don't disagree. I'm not
movie is
arguing your point.
Pretty fucking good. But going back to what you were saying earlier, Mark, I hear that and I do agree.
I'm
Like,
not trying to fix this movie.
No, but
I'm
there
just
is-
like
there's
there
a
is because
version-
because it's so devoted to sort of like how practical a situation like that would
sometimes the realism does sacrifice drama.
be. Yeah.
And I agree. There could, if you just tweaked it a little bit, which is like, would the engine chief
It's interesting that like
jump into the flames and like try to rescue one guy?
It's
and, like,
interesting that Travolta feels removed from him. I think even emotionally, because he's not so much in the movie. I think if the movie had made that decision to have Travolta go in and get him, then Travolta would be more in the flashback scenes because it would be about his role as a mentor to him and teaching him what he knows. And,
Right.
Yeah.
you know, instead of
having to
just
leave
him
him
being the
behind,
guy who's like, I want to be like a tougher firefighter. And he's like, I don't know if you're cut out for it. And that's kind of like,
yeah,
yeah.
I agree. So, birthday party.
Yes.
Jack and Linda's daughter. They also have a boy. Then there's the
I always loved this scene as a kid. All the firefighters there for his little girl's birthday.
yeah, it's cute.
And you have all the guys and their
yeah, we
fucking
jump like
dogs.
5. It's like a 5-year time jump.
Yeah.
Yeah,
5 or
the
6
kids
year
are
time.
grown now.
The kids are grown up.
The firehouse responds to a possible gas leak at
Yeah.
a factory.
This is when Morris Chestnut gets suplexed by a steam pipe.
This actually, so I think, and something that I forgot to mention is all the fires in the story. This might be one of those like IMDb trivia things where like, is it true? I don't know. But it was like all the fires that are portrayed in this movie, like the fire scenes, are based on like real fire things. And I remember the gas leak one, the one that like burned Morris Chestnut, like was a real thing that made the news. I think it was a firefighter who got like severe like burns on his face from having like a gas explosion or something, or a steam explosion hit him. So but basically, so it's Joaquin Phoenix and John Travolta. They're walking through this like factory. They're Morris Chestnut's with them, and they got a couple other guys, and they're walking through, and it's just like a possible gas leak. I think that's all they're responding to. Yeah. And there's some like little booms like in the background. They're like, oh, I don't know about this. What's going on? They split up. They go into different groups, and then
Travolta orders them to pull back.
He's like, you know what, guys, we're gonna pull back. Morris Chestnut's walking towards them, and then pa-pling!
A steam pipe just. He does like three flips and clashes into a wall.
And it like sprays him with like boiling hot steam. They grab him out. Jack's hands get severely burned. Yeah. But they pull him out, and then so
he goes to the hospital.
Yeah, he goes to the hospital to visit. Jack's hands are all bandaged up, and he's seeing like if he can visit.
Jack is too disturbed by Morris Chestnut to want to go in, but he eventually goes in.
And the nurse is like, no, like he's like, oh, like I saw him changing bandages. Like, no, it's fine. You can go in.
He's scared by what he sees.
And he asks, like, is he like in a lot of pain? He's like, he's out of the worst of it yet, but he's also very medicated. Yeah. And before this is when Jack goes home, and again his hands are bandaged up, and his son is like kind of being distant from him. And
Daddy, does it hurt when the steam burns and melts your face? The kid at school
said, whatever the kid's name's father got melted by.
Does that hurt, Dad? Joaquin's like,
yeah,
it fucking hurts.
But like, and also like there's probably one or two scenes. This scene hit me a lot. I know you're gonna make fun of it, Jeff.
No, I'm not gonna make fun of it.
No, I'm just saying, cute. Like,
it's a father-son scene. It got me too.
I mean, but it was very much like, you know, a son who is aware of the dangers of his father's profession. Yeah. And like his reserved trepidations about that. Like he can't like use like a certain type of vocabulary to describe it, but like in essence, like this kid is scared his dad's gonna die, get hurt.
I know.
Like,
he did just tell Morris Chestnut too that like your kids are gonna be fine. Your kids are they want their dad back. They're not gonna be afraid of you.
That's after this scene.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But then his kid is like, that sounds fucking scary.
Yeah.
His kid is like disturbed by it.
Yeah, he's like, does steam really melt your face off? And he's like, well, like he did get like burned pretty bad, but you know, they have this like thing where they can replace skin on your face.
You don't see him again after that scene, do you?
No, I think Morris Chestnut's done after that scene.
Yeah.
But
well, he is at the funeral at the end.
Yeah, he is.
You see him.
You see his Kentucky Fried face in the background.
Was that on the spot, Jeff? Or did you have that in your back pocket? Was that in your notes?
I've had a few things in my back pocket.
Okay.
I have some.
Jeff, salute.
I have
salute and say thank you.
I have something in my back pocket for a little bit later.
Okay.
That I've been holding on to for a bit.
All right. What's next?
All right. So.
After the chestnut scene.
This time jump also.
Wait the fuck.
This time jump also foretells something.
No. Shut the fuck up.
Moving on.
This has changed with this time jump. The score for this movie also changed.
Mark, here I am talking about I was talking about how
real shit,
the
man.
Performances with the son and Joaquin Phoenix, and
it's about real shit that happened to somebody.
The performances between the two of them were really good. I thought the kid was really pulling his weight in that scene, and I thought
what did Jeff say?
Joaquin Phoenix was doing really well in that scene with like talking about like the dangers of his profession and like trying to reassure his kid. Then the following scene when he goes to the hospital and he's trying to like comfort Tommy.
He said,
"Little bit of chicken fried." Cold beer on a Friday night.
Maybe he was making fun of the prosthetics, the makeup.
Pair of
Maybe
prosthetics
he
that
didn't
fit
like-
just right.
No, okay.
And ladder 49's on. Okay, so also the time jump, the music changes.
I kept one in my back pocket, but I didn't bring it out. Now I'm gonna keep it there.
It changes
It's staying in
from like
there.
that fantasy jaunt music
To
to like techno. It goes like Matrix.
What?
I really hope you never get your face melted off.
No,
by
because
Steve.
the next part is like when the fire trucks.
I
moving.
hope you don't have kids, and I hope that they don't.
Shit.
I hope that, or if you do have kids, I hope you don't get your face melted off and they have to cry when you can't read them a bedtime story because it'll cause them nightmares because they're terrified of how their father looks. Jesus fuck. Kentucky.
Well, the crime of this movie is that it makes Morris Chestnut unattractive.
What? The Morris. Robert's right there. Sorry.
Keep digging. Keep digging.
No, but you hire Morris
digging,
Chestnut, so
Jeff.
it's so tragic.
Yeah.
It is so tragic when it happens. You're like, that pipe got Morris Chestnut. Oh my gosh.
Okay. It's like what happens?
I don't know what this techno music you're talking about was.
It kind of goes techno for all the action scenes after this.
Huh.
So I remember
In 3 years, when you watch it next time, you'll let us know what the music was.
So
If Jeff was crazy or not, I don't remember no techno music.
so
Duly noted.
Joaquin's a little like burnt up about this. He's a little burnt up about this, so he gets a little heated. And he's got
For clarification, mine was Billy Bird got Billy Burnt. But I didn't say it, Stuart. I kept it in my back pocket.
so he's a little heated at the bar.
Yeah.
And he like almost gets into a fight. And Travolta's like, "Hey, I know this is really stressful
Because
for
Robert
you."
Patrick is cheating on his wife.
Yeah.
with the lady.
Yeah.
Is that what's happening?
Yeah, Rob Patrick's cheating on his wife, and he's mad at him.
Yeah, he said, I seen Mrs. because he's dressed as Santa
Yeah,
Claus. And he
Mrs.
goes, I
Claus.
see Mrs. Claus, and that ain't her.
Yeah. And he's just mad, like, the disrespect and, like, just that
know.
the world's so unfair, I suppose. And so he gets heated, and John Travolta's just like, there's an administrative job. You can come with my aide. Pretty much the same pay, but you'll be out of the line of fire.
Yeah.
And Joaquin's like, let me think about it. And so he goes home to Linda. And he's like, so I got offered this job. She's like, well, are you going to take it? Do you want that?
I think he says no, like, immediately.
He says, well, I think it would be good for you and the kids. And she leaves the room.
Oh, then she's like...
And he follows her, and she's like, well, this is about me now. Like, what do you want?
But it's just so weird because he's been saying, I want to be a firefighter the whole movie. And she's like, no, we have to think about me and the kids. And he's just like,
And he finally does it.
I'm going to think about you and the kids. She's like, oh, you're going to put this on my shoulders. Yeah.
Uh-huh. So the
Just to quickly comment on that, I feel like she wants him to be a firefighter, but she wants him to be honest about
What
the
he
dangers of his
I
professions.
think, yeah. And I
So
think
that first fight earlier was just because that he wasn't honest with her about the risks involved with being in search and rescue.
her initial attraction to him is this is a guy who loves doing what he does. I work at a fucking jewelry making shop that I don't like, and it's attractive when somebody likes what they do and
Yeah.
is passionate. And so she wants him to retain that because it's what she likes about him. But she's also just like, it sucks and it's fucking dangerous and your friends are dying.
yeah.
Yeah. It's true.
Stuart, what hour are we at?
No, I don't want to know.
We're at an hour and 40.
What?
Hour and 50.
Sick.
We still got a little bit left of this movie.
Oh,
we
of
got
course
some
we do.
juice left.
Of course we do.
Uh,
I'm sure there's a flashback.
yeah. So
A flash forward.
So I think the next bit's the Christmas Eve.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like I broke Stuart.
I don't know what you want me to say to that, Jeff. I really hope that you never have to go through. Because, if you ever get, like, chemical burns for whatever reason.
I can't tell if this is a threat.
And
Jeff, put the flamethrower down. No, I mean, fucking Stuart.
If you ever get injured at work and something happens where like it really puts you on your ass.
No.
Well, I stepped on a nail this week.
And you know, you get landed in the hospital and there's some like facial injuries. I'm gonna visit you.
Did you see my facial injury, Jeff?
I'm gonna tell you that it's okay. I'm gonna comfort you. I'm gonna be there for you because I'm your best friend.
I'll be there for you too.
And I won't be cracking jokes. I'll be there for you and making sure that you feel good. And you know, I really hope
Stuart,
you wouldn't treat me the same way you treat
I hope you
Morris
walk into the room
Chestnut.
and you're like, Jeff, you look well. Well done. Whoa! And then you leave.
I will
That's
not.
the kind of buddies you are.
I will not be doing that to you, Jeff, because I think we can joke about it now, but if it actually happened to you, it'd be very traumatic.
I would not be pleased.
Oh my gosh.
Anyway, so it's Christmas Eve
Yeah.
in the firehouse, and you know Christmas music's playing. Christmas time is here.
This is after the fight with our pack up.
Yeah,
There's an apartment fire.
an apartment fire, and so he and Robert Patrick go out, and there's like a little boy, and he's like, my cousin is still up there. He points to like the one room that's not on fire right now.
Mm-hmm.
And so Joaquin and Rob Patrick, they go in, like, cutting through things. It's a very weird sequence.
It's the one time the movie is like, this is how disorienting it is to be in a building that's
It like
on
cuts
fire.
to like random slow mo,
It's like
and
really gray and muddy.
there's a crazy zoom in where it's like right into his eyes at one point.
I just wrote down like it takes like all of like the editing, camera work, sound design, and the score from the first movie and just heightens it by like 10. And I think it's like, again, just another
Ladder one.
Another parallel of sort of
You
where,
meant for the earlier part of the movie.
where Jack is at his life
Like
right
ladder
now.
25.
About anxiety inducing the nature of the scene is, but just anxiety in his life in general, with like the fact that he's had a lot of guys killed and or injured in this profession, and he's just had this like talk with Linda about like his job. So I feel like it's sort of paralleling that a lot.
And so they rescue a little girl, or a
She's
teenager.
young. She's a
a
teenager, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And when he does so, like the fire does break out onto that floor that they're on. There's like a little explosion. He dives on top of her and like is able to save her from the fire, and then he's like trapped inside. But that's when Robert Patrick breaks through like a door and like gets them out. Cut to an award ceremony.
Yeah, they get an award from actual Martin O'Malley, mayor of Baltimore, playing himself in this movie.
His scene is so weird because he's like, all right, now I'm going to call up somebody who's much more well-equipped to speak and honor this man than me, and someone who's much better looking too.
Yeah, he
and I'm
brings
like,
up a teenager.
Calm down.
Brings
Calm
up the
down,
girl that they
Martin.
saved.
It's true. No, of
It
course.
was the girl that
Of course
they,
it's
it's a girl that they saved. So
God,
she,
Martin.
she pins the medal on Jack and Lenny. It's a great moment. And then
Yeah, his wife looks really proud of him.
flashback
It's one of
forward
those-
to modern day. Jack is against the brick wall. He's like digging through. He's got some bricks down, and then eventually he gets through, crawls into the control room. And by the way, so that's the last of the flashback, because once we bounce back to this modern day, we're there till the end of the movie. Yeah, you guys said we had a lot of juice where like where you asked that question of what time we were at, we're at like probably like 15 minutes left in the movie. So we're actually getting pretty close to the end. So we're back at modern day. Jack does get through to the control room. And while that's happening, we cut back to the firefighters drilling through like all the debris to try to get to the other side. Jack gets to the control room and he looks up, and he just sees like a fiery inferno. The guys on the other side get through the debris. They see like this door, and like, I see a door. Like, Jack, we're coming. They open the door, and the flames like burst out of there. And they radio to Mike and say like, Mike, there's no way in. The entire control room is engulfed. And Jack looks around and is like, Mike, pull your guys out.
Yeah.
And Mike is like,
Jack accepts his fate.
Yeah, but he's going to save the lives of
gonna
his
save his
friends
guys.
too, because his friends will keep going.
yeah, he says, pull your guys out. And so
Keep going.
Jack,
Tell Linda I love her.
yeah, he says, tell Linda I love her.
But imagine if the last life he saved was of John Travolta, because
Oh,
he was
saved John Travolta?
No, but like, because John Travolta's gonna
Because I agree with you
not
earlier.
gonna stop going for him.
Yeah, I
He's
agree
gonna
with you earlier.
Burn in
like,
the building
if you
with
had,
him.
because it makes more sense realistically that Travolta would be in the base camp outside.
It's just not the movie it is, though.
Right. It makes more real. It makes more sense realistic wise. But I agree with what you're saying that to up the stakes and up the drama, if you swap out the guys for just Travolta to try to get to Jack, then drama wise.
But then I think it becomes like Backdraft. Backdraft is less like I've always seen like half an hour of Backdraft in like a waiting room at a hospital, which is where you watch Backdraft.
That's where you watch Backdraft.
I'm not even heard of Backdraft, to be honest.
So
Ron Howard's Backdraft.
It's a Ron Howard. Is it Nick Nolte?
Baldwin. No, is it Jack and Alec? Is it brothers?
It's Kurt Russell, William Baldwin, Scott Glenn. What a cast! Donald Sutherland and De Niro.
Jesus Christ!
What a cast!
Yeah.
Also, apparently they made a sequel, Backdraft 2, that came out 2 years ago. Only
Redbox.
on DVD.
Okay.
Who was in it?
William Baldwin and Donald Sutherland both returned.
The Undertaker.
But yeah, Jack says goodbye to Mike.
It does star The Undertaker.
Wait.
Jack says goodbye to Mike on the walkie. He says, "Tell Linda I love her." He also says, "Please take care of my kids." And Mike promises to do so. And then it sort of fades out of that. We just see like it cuts out and we just see the guys coming out of the building. They're all looking at Jack, or they're all looking at Mike, sort of in defeat. And Mike's put to go to the radio. All right, all units pull out of the building. Like, let's all get out. And so you just see like a lasting aerial shots of like, you know, the building in flames. Cut to Linda's house. Linda and the kids are at home, and then we never said this earlier, but like there was a scene where like when one of Jack and Linda's arguments, she says like, you know, I have nightmares every day where that red car pulls up and you're not in it, and so this is sort of realizing that
The red car pulls up and Travolta and a priest get out.
Yeah, and she immediately knows what
breaks
happened.
down.
So then the funeral scene.
I was a little confused by this scene.
Why?
Because I thought phoenixes were supposed to rise from flame.
Oh my god. It's not really a setup and payoff if you're like, I'm scared this thing is going to happen. And then it happens.
I thought they were supposed to rise out of flame.
No, he didn't. He didn't make it.
More like Joaquin, not a phoenix. Stuart's going to be death eyes right now.
I just don't know why this is funny.
Because he's a phoenix.
The movie's too earnest for Jeff.
No, I love Ernesty.
No, you don't.
No, you're kind of an earnest guy.
I love Ernesty. I
also think you liked this movie.
I actually quite liked this movie.
You're just like pissing off Stuart. It's easy. Stuart's an easy target. Sorry, Stuart.
Great. Cool.
I actually quite like
Doesn't
this
it
movie.
suck that if you respected firemen a little bit less, you would have nicer things to say about firemen?
Yeah, I really
No, just kidding.
I really set myself up when I told Jeff right away that I like this movie before we even started this podcast.
Jeff liked this movie.
I should have just kept my mouth shut and just, you know, let Jeff take the reins.
Okay, so we cut to another church.
And it sucks.
And he's
Because
talking-
it is a nice funeral.
I hear the sacred hallelujah.
What's the song called again?
Hallelujah. And that's not hallelujah.
I think it's called. It's like
it's
Light
called
of My-
"Shine Your Light" by Robbie Robertson.
Well, Travolta gives a speech about Jack Morrison.
Yes.
Tells him about how, you know, people ask why firefighters are the only ones running into the flame when people are running out. And he says, because you, Jack, you chose to save somebody's life. And that is courage.
Yeah.
Like, you had real courage. So he
heroism.
said, so let's, instead of not mourning Jack, let's celebrate him. They do like a round of applause for Jack. And then cut to the song "Shine Your Light," and they're taking the coffin out, putting it
I
on
think
the
it's a big procession.
big
A
procession.
honor.
They put his coffin on the fire truck. They're doing a procession down the street.
We get something that I actually really love in movies, which is tough dudes crying. Mm-hmm. Like, you can always get me with the tough dude crying. It's just like a bunch of like really stocky like Baltimore cops.
Yeah.
And they're all just like walking down the street, but they're all soggied up.
Robert Patrick's crying.
Yeah.
Yeah, piece of shit. But he's crying.
And they take Jack to his final resting place, and then
This movie just made me cry all the time when I was a kid.
yeah.
Yeah. I didn't cry today. I think because it was early and I just watched Basics, so my brain was a bit melted. But
Well, we cut to you know, they're gonna keep going on.
yeah.
You know, the fire trucks pull out of the station in unison. We see Travolta and the guys put out a fire.
They do.
We're intercut with montage of previous scenes of the movie.
In that first
Stuart,
fire.
is this what happens?
Yeah.
And in that first fire.
Yeah.
And then the final scene is the shot of Joaquin Phoenix and Travolta coming out of their first fire and embracing, and the freeze frame, black and white, fade to black, credits.
Shine your light.
Also notice that the movie doesn't do. I always hate it when it does this. The corny, dedicated to the men and women who fight fires every day. Doesn't do that. It just ends.
Yeah.
Goes to credits.
Because the movie itself is that.
Exactly.
The movie
Well,
is
that's what I mean. Yeah.
The movie is dedicated to the army.
Exactly. Like if it did that.
That's what reading that sentence is
movies
like.
learned their lesson after the Rocky 3 incident. I mean, Rambo 3.
Oh.
The one that ends with like, this is dedicated to the brave freedom fighters of the Afghanistan movement.
Oh, Jesus.
And they became the Taliban.
Oh, God. I didn't know about that.
Even though, so the end of Rambo 3
I
is
didn't know that happened.
well, Rambo 3 is Rambo 3 is Rambo goes
He
to
should have picked a
Afghanistan
different
and
fucking
helps
letter. It's his fault.
helps like the proto Taliban fight off the Soviets. And he's like, I believe that you guys can make this a great country.
You do a good Stallone.
Yeah, it's I don't know, whoop-de-doo or something like that.
Okay, but can you do a Travolta?
No, I cannot.
What is it?
It's impossible to figure out. Hey, it's me, John Travolta. No, I can't do it. Like,
You have to start at Adele Nazim and work backwards. You have to start there,
wickedly
find it there.
talented
The
Adele
wickedly
Dazeem.
talented Adele Nazim.
okay,
You
so
should have said
the
that.
end of Ladder 49. The movie ends.
The movie ends. Final thoughts. It's a good movie.
How did
Yeah,
the
good
movie
movie.
do, Jeff?
So the movie comes out. It does okay.
Which is weird.
It does okay.
Isn't that weird?
Yeah, very weird. You expect it to do bad or really good?
Really good.
Yeah.
It's this like
It makes $100 million off a $60 million budget.
That's about.
So it
Doesn't double it.
it roughly makes the budget back, but not much more.
yeah, but on DVD and bullshit.
Yeah. I'm sure it was a big DVD.
Well, it's for this kid right here.
Seemingly both of you. So it's a big DVD movie.
I don't own this on DVD.
Well, did you as a kid?
No.
Oh.
I lived in Nairobi, so my copy was
this
pirated, so I did
was-
not take it with me when I moved back
I
to
think
America.
we talked about this with like some of Travolta's like Phenomenon. This was a TBS at 9 p.m. Sunday movie.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
This is such like a dad watching it on AMC on a Sunday afternoon movie.
Yeah, 100%.
The movie gets okay. It did okay in the box office. It gets okay reviews. A 41% Rotten Tomatoes average nowadays.
Really? 41%.
It got an A- cinema score though, so audiences loved it. Critics
Yeah.
put out the hit.
But Roger Ebert gave it 3.5 stars.
Yes. Like this is one of those movies that the people who liked it loved it, and everyone's just like, yeah, it's fine. It's a firefighter movie.
Yeah.
Joaquin's great, and everyone that was the general vibe. This was a Disney picture.
Is it
Buena Vista.
Buena Vista? Okay.
Remember Buena Vista?
Right.
I'm reading Rotten Tomatoes does a cool like critics consensus where they write like a one sentence critic phrase about the movie. So Rotten Tomatoes critic consensus is, instead of humanizing the firemen, the movie idolizes them and thus renders them into cardboard characters, which I don't agree with that. I think it humanizes them very well.
They all feel like dudes you would just find in a bar in Baltimore.
That's true. Yeah.
Yeah, so I disagree. I think it's I would give it a strong 7 out of 10.
Strong. I too would give it a 7 out of 10.
You said 6 earlier.
I said 6 or
You
7.
said 6 or 7.
I looked back at my Letterboxd score and I gave it a 7.
But
yeah.
Letterboxd is 5
So
stars.
roughly, apparently, we liked this movie the same number.
I don't think you like it as much as him. I'm going to tell you right
Stuart,
now.
I'm feeling like you were a solid 4 out of 5 on this one.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, I'd say 4 out of 5.
I think you were an 8.
No, I mean, if we're gonna get specific, well, Roger, we get
I just want you to live your truth.
Roger, we get 3.5 out of 4.
Yeah,
That's like a
that's like a
9.
That's like a 9. I hate,
If Roger can go there,
I honestly really hate
the 4.
fours
Yeah,
because I can't, my brain can't process that.
I can't do 1, 2,
But
3,
if you
4.
do 5 stars versus 10,
Like it's an 8.7. It's 0.87. It's
Because isn't the idea before that you don't
8.75.
have to do half stars?
yes.
Anyway,
see, that's why I do 10 scale is probably the best for me. So I'll give it a strong 7, very strong 7.
Very strong 7.
Yeah.
I give it a strong 7 as well.
is it the? I guess you did Austin Powers, so it's not the John Travolta movie with the least John Travolta.
baby, yeah.
Baby.
No, least John Travolta we've ever had in a movie.
Was Austin
Boris and Natasha. He's in that for 3 seconds. We talk about the movie for over an hour.
You just talk about Boris and Natasha.
Yeah. We talked about Boris
Who's
and
Boris?
Dave Thomas.
Now you're gonna talk about it for even longer.
It's a Rocky and Bullwinkle movie where they weren't allowed to use Rocky and Bullwinkle, so they made it about the 2 Russian spies.
About like what's the fucking commander's name? What's that guy's name?
Was it Dear Leader? Stuart's like, we are not doing Boris and Natasha again right now.
Did this do anything for John Travolta's career, Jeff?
Give me 1 second. Fearless Leader. Fearless Leader. That's it.
I want to watch this movie. It's on Tubi.
It was actually fun. There's
like
a
Rocky and
part where
Bullwinkle.
Boris and Natasha go undercover and they dress up as in like giant Scottish
Yeah.
suits, like big fat suits, and they call themselves Mr. and Mrs. Obeith.
Jesus. So what does John do after this?
So this is pretty much the beginning of, his I X'd out of the page where I was looking at his lineup. But this is pretty much the beginning of like he's starting to settle into supporting character bits. That's what he's getting offered right now. But he's fighting that perception. Like every one of these roles he's taking is an attempt to like get himself back to leading man status. He's still A-list at this point. He has the respect, he has the clout. He hasn't lost it yet.
Yeah.
But it's starting to wean away a little bit after this.
Like all he needs is like he's got Grease, he's got Pulp Fiction.
Yeah.
What's the
And it's like
his
this-
third big one?
Get Shorty
Saturday
probably.
Fever.
Saturday Night Fever.
Yeah. He's not going anywhere.
Yeah. And it's like this movie, it's like, all right, so if John Travolta's willing to do a role like that now, like where he's not in a lot of the movie,
Yeah.
what does that mean?
I know this isn't the Phoenix cast, but like, because this was right before Walk the Line, where he gets another Oscar nom for leading actor.
Yeah, it doesn't
Gladiator,
win, though.
he gets nominated for supporting
Yeah.
actor, but 2 years after this, he gets a leading actor nom.
Yeah.
And then after Walk the Line, that was when we said earlier that
He does I'm Still Here pretty much shortly
In
after
08.
that. Yeah, in 08. Where he kind of like
That's
goes off the grid for a
crazy
little
that
bit.
this is 4 years before I'm still
Yeah.
here.
It's insane. We got to respect Joaquin Phoenix's best performance though, which was him delivering Anthony Hopkins the best
Yeah.
Oscar for best lead actor,
Or just
who is not there
who's not there.
at the last Oscar. Where he's like, Anthony Hopkins, thanks for a great night, everyone. Whoa.
Wait, what? Yeah, I don't know. John. Yeah, I feel like he's not leading anymore after this.
Yeah.
He's got Hairspray coming up.
Because like after this, with the like we said, with
Wild
the
Hogs.
exception of Be Cool and Lonely Hearts.
I don't know Lonely
And
Hearts.
Be Cool is a sequel to one of his movies, which is how he
Mhm.
gets the juice for that. And then Lonely Hearts we'll talk about when we get to it. But after this, it's like support. Like prior to this,
Yeah.
he's just done supporting role in The Punisher. But it's supporting role, Wild Hogs in an ensemble, Hairspray ensemble, Bolt lead role, but it's an animated movie. Magnificent Desolation is just a voiceover role in a documentary. And then from that, and then right after Bolt is when he just like starts settling into his action movie thing where he's like, no, I'm going to be leading men no matter what the movie is.
It's like a post midlife crisis.
And it's Taking of Pelham 1, 2, 3, From Paris with Love, Savages, Killing Season, Forger, Life on the Line, Criminal Activities, In a Valley of Violence, I Am Wrath.
Eesh.
So we're getting close to that period.
That's gonna be fun though.
It's going to be fun.
Yeah. So you revisited first time since childhood.
Ladder 49.
Yeah. Final takes to take backs why you feel like you watched it a lot as a kid. That's what I've been thinking about.
Yeah. I felt like I can't pinpoint exact memories of when we watched this, but I do remember like having a few moments where I watched this a lot as a kid with probably my parents. And I think, the best way to put it, it's like an AMC 9 p.m. Sunday afternoon watch or something. Like it's just like a cable programmer, which is probably where we watch it a few times. So I remember having like okay memories of it as a kid.
Yeah.
Like we said earlier, like it's not graphically violent enough that kids can't watch it. Like I think it's still like real enough for adults to watch and sort of fill in the gaps that it's, there's some stakes and violent situations. Rewatching it now, I mean, I think the best way I can describe it, which I've already said, is like it set out to be a firefighter tribute movie, and it nails it.
Yeah, I think I was a kid who liked firefighters, or just also like the idea of them, and it does a really just kind of fucking like you said, just like clean job of it. It's not like they're not action heroes. They're not like slow-mo exploding through fire like in Windows and bullshit. But
it's not perfect. It's got its flaws. Like, Joaquin Phoenix traversing off the side of a building and breaking a window, Mission Impossible style, is a little not realistic and a little too superhero-y.
Yeah.
Or like,
but in terms of this movie, it's very kind of, I think it feels that big because the rest of the movie is so just like, we're going in and we're hosing.
Yeah.
We're going in and we're hosing it.
And like, like in terms of its concrete A plot, it's Joaquin Phoenix saves a guy, gets injured, they try to save him, they can't.
Yeah.
And like that's 5% of the movie, but that's its A plot.
Yeah.
And so like I think it's kind of like, yes, this is like the main conflict, this is central conflict, but like that's not why you're watching this movie. You're not watching this movie to see if he makes it out.
Yeah.
You're watching this movie to see what got him here. And how he turned out the way he turned out, like Roger Ebert says in his review, which is I vehemently agree with that review. It's a good take.
I know. I would do a salute in earnest, but
yeah,
I'm not going to.
And like, it still hasn't left my mind what you said about earlier, where, if you switch the ending where it's like John Travolta goes in to try to save Joaquin Phoenix as like a Bond sort of esque drama point. Probably would not have been like as realistic because it makes more sense that the fire chief is outside holding down the fort, but I don't know. Or it could have read as over cheesy and over dramatic, but right now it feels like that might have served it pretty well. I can imagine that walkie-talkie conversation scene where he's saying goodbye happening very differently if the
and they kind of have that. They have a nice little moment where he's just kind of like, I don't know. I'm gonna fucking get out of here. I guess no one trained me good enough, and that's kind of a nice, yeah. The movie knows, they had some fun.
Jeff, final thoughts.
Stuart said if you're gonna say Gesundheit, you don't deserve it.
No, my final thoughts is this is the type of competent programmer that I wish there was more of out there.
Yeah.
Like something like this would just be like a TV limited series or a 22 episode season now, and I think we're all the lesser for it. There should be these competent 7 out of 10 firefighter movies. There should be one a year. Ladder 50.
There was a forest firefighter movie. Oh no, it was Only the Brave. But then there's the fucking Angelina Jolie. What's it fucking called?
Oh,
they. Pray for the dead. Only for the dead.
Firefighter.
That movie's about forest firefighters.
Those
but
who wish me dead.
It is a high concept. What if she fought assassins in the middle of a forest fire who were hunting down a kid who was on the run from some bullshit because he had a microchip?
At Taylor Sheridan film.
It's very high concept for Taylor Sheridan.
Wait, you're telling me Aidan Gillen's one of those assassins?
It's good. You should watch it.
I gotta see this movie.
That's the kind of program you're talking about. You should watch.
Those who wish me dead.
The best.
Man. Those who... Assassins, Aidan Gillen and Nicholas Hoult? Oh my... John Bernthal.
Oh, Bernthal's in it.
Ooh, I gotta see this movie. I see this movie hard.
Bernthal's in uniform.
Well, Mark, thank you very much for joining us.
So we're shutting this down.
I love doing this.
This is great. Yeah. We always love having you.
You're always welcome on the show.
I will be back.
You will be back.
I will be back.
You will.
Shall we close this out, Jeff?
Yeah. thank you folks all for listening to this episode of Ladder 49. We hope you enjoyed it. You folks next week have this to look forward to, an episode on Be Cool, the sequel to Get Shorty, starring Dwayne The Rock Johnson and Danny DeVito. Back again. Also Vince Vaughn's in it. But thank you all for listening. Please remember to rate, review, subscribe on whatever platform you're listening on. As a reminder, we are available on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and YouTube. Find us at Travolting Pod on Twitter or Instagram for updates and fun stuff. Email us travoltingpodcast@gmail.com. Stuart is intently staring at his time code right now. You can find me on Twitter at Jeff W. Sweeney.
You can find me on Instagram at StuartElmore95.
Mark, you just have to plug your phone in.
I think it's fully charged.
It's fully charged now?
I think it's fully charged now.
And as always, special thanks to Rebecca Johnson for our graphic design, Michael Van Bodegum Smith for our theme music,
For letting us use the house.
for letting us use the house, Becca, and Nicole Johnson for our social media. Thank you guys for listening, and see you next week for Be Cool.
Bye.